I told you I found you a perfect match. Chosen by science, but you had to marry them right this second. You would tell me, well, that sounds pretty whack. And I would add, you have 8 weeks to know if you really love them. You just got married at first sight. Jason and Aysha gonna tell you wrong from right. Are all these couples just disasters waiting to happen? Imagine if one of them could be a perfect match.
Hello and welcome to A Perfect Match. We are here to talk about Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 11. We're coming off some big shoes with Episode 10. So we'll get into some things from Episode 11. Some of the fallout, some of the aftermath of the things that we experienced through the iconic Episode 10. I am here with 2 of my co-hosts for this season. We're going to talk about everything that brings us joy, everything that stresses us out. Don't worry. First, I have my co-host who is at 5 copies of To My Future Woman Crush Wednesday behind you.
Don't pay attention to that.
Okay.
There's something I'm working on. This is the thing I'm doing. Don't worry about it. It's a project.
Jason Reed. Jason, how are you?
Oh, good, Aysha. I'm good. You know, I was just thinking about our podcasting journey together. I was just thinking, like, never really seen you cry. I think I want to work on that this episode. Just do and say things. And hopefully, get a response from you of maybe just see you cry a little bit. I just haven't seen you cry enough. I need to see it.
Look, emotions are tough for me. Okay, I think the only people that see me cry are Pepper and Cinnamon. So
maybe I should bring up like a city in Italy. I don't know what I should maybe something that
would induce some response. That wouldn't induce tears. That would induce
more
anger.
Rage. Yeah, more rage.
Yeah. So probably not.
I'll think of something else.
Yeah. So we're not alone. We are here with our 3rd co-host of the season, who has been popping in at all the right times. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts about episode 10. Mari Forth. Mari, how are you?
Hello. Insert childhood traumatic story here. Yes. Cries, boohoo. And now let's move on. I'm so glad to be here. Glad to be back. Mad I missed last episode, but probably a good thing I missed last episode, because now it's a week later. I can, talk about it without using some words that might get us demonetized. So we're good. I'm glad. I'm glad to be back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't wait to get into what you thought about that. Because now I do feel like I'm in a better headspace now that we're a week away.
No, not me. Not me. I'm so pretty mad. And this episode unfortunately made me even madder. So yeah, I'm still pretty rageful about it.
I don't know. There's just a sense of peace over me right now that, if you can't want more for people than they want for themselves. And that's what kind of helped make me take a step back.
The level of rage that I had last week watching that episode was astounding. I had to tell my kids to go to a different room because of the things that were coming out of my mouth. Did
your daughter just walk to the other room or what?
Oh yeah, she crawled. She crawled to the other room. It was a lot. It was a lot. So now this week it's like, okay, we're a few feet away from it. I'm like, some decisions have been made, choices, but at least we're getting through it. Can I just say though, this has been just an amazing season. Like it's the balance. It's just a true balance of, we got the one really cute couple that I swear every time they are on the screen, I'd be like cheesing and crying and cheesing. And then we have 2 couples that are so, and we're like, okay, y'all is faking, but at least it's like mid-level drama, and it's kind of like, okay, us trying to figure out why they don't like each other. Then we just have 2 couples that are so rage-inducing that you gotta go online and be like, da 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 da. So, I mean, if we at least it's not all boring love, not all horrendous drama, or last year just everybody hiding stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, or then trying to come and say, and then try and do the gang up thing. So this has been a very well blended season so far. And if we get what we think we're gonna get with the swap and all that, it's gonna be so salacious and juicy. I'm so excited.
This, I mean, it's really showing. It's like it's in. I always speaking in hyperbole. I've never seen this before, but no, this would be. This feels like this is gonna be a season that we look back on, and it's like someone's like, "Okay, where should I get started with Married at First Sight?" I always say season 10, then
Yeah.
11,
Mhm.
up a little bit, but then we might be saying season 18 if you want to be entertained. Because coming off the heels on season 17, that was just like, oh my gosh.
Last
Okay,
season felt
17, yeah.
it felt like the sloggiest of slogs. Like, what are we even doing here? And I feel like it's been progressively getting like that as the seasons go on. Like 15, 16, and then 17 was just unbearable. You know what I'm saying? It was just slowly marching towards that. So the fact is this 17? This is 18, right?
This is
Yeah.
18, yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that we get to season 18 and it's like we're still engaged by episode 11, like I'm still watching. Like, I'm not just
That's a
listening
lot.
to YouTube. Okay, it could be because I'm on the podcast too, but also, you know, by this time, I'm sure the listeners are with me. By this time, I've just given up on the show. I just come and listen to you guys, and that's how I process the season. Now I'm dialed in, locked in, waiting for every episode to drop.
I feel like y'all are remembering season 17 differently than I did. I had fun with season 17. The mess and the nonsense is an all-time high.
But it wasn't a mess. It was people being avoidant.
It was just
but in a
peak
drama-filled
annoying.
way, especially when we got to the end of the season where they were just slinging
Well, the end of the season was
slinging rocks and arrows at each other. I was like, yes, give this all to me. War. I want war. And we had
I just feel
so many
like
things we hadn't seen before.
Brennan, Orion.
Yeah, they
it's
were
just-
all, which was fun. Right? Like, so but we all know that I like things more than you like.
Maybe near the end, like near the end when it was open warfare, but that middle there, Jason, where it was like
bad.
The middle was so bad. It was like Ryan and Lauren are done. Everybody else is done. It's just Brennan and Emily, who we know are done, but are being forced together because there's only one other
Austin and Becca, the mystery of Austin and Becca.
That was
like,
so random.
What is happening here?
There was nothing to hold on to.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
just nothing.
I probably would speak differently on this season if there was no Camille and Thomas.
Right. If we didn't have Camille and Thomas, it would be season 17, where there's no hope for anybody. But we do have the shining light and beacon of Camille and Thomas. But the good thing is we do also have nonsense in MM and Ikechi. The other three is just like, what are y'all still doing here? Like Juan and Carla.
I think David and Michelle are in the nonsense category.
Yeah, I guess so. But like this episode, like we got a fashion show with David. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Juan and Carla are here for a business TED Talk. I don't understand what's going on. There's zero content about their relationship, which is utterly bizarre and baffling.
I like that though. Like I like that we have Camille and Thomas who are just like raised up. Then we have Michelle and not Michelle and David, but Madison and Alan and Juan and Carla, that it's just so low stakes. You know what I'm saying? Like I like the low stakesness of their drama. It's just like y'all are just dumb.
Yeah,
and then
I don't like. Yeah.
And then there's the two that is like, wow, this has ramification on these people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see the trauma responses in these people to these relationships. So it's like a little bit fluid, a little bit of everything.
But Juan and Carla isn't even low stakes drama. There's no drama. There's
no
zero.
Just low stakes. Yeah.
They're here for no reason. I don't know if they refuse to talk about their relationship and this is just a fully now promotional opportunity for Carla to talk about her business. Like that's what it feels like. We didn't even get them an expert visit this episode. It's just like everyone else got some sort of expert visit. They got nothing. Every segment was
because all the experts said, "Why are we about to go waste our time when all they want to talk about our businesses?"
every conversation is about her business. It's like, what are we even doing? What are we
Well,
doing here
look,
with this?
let's get more into it. But before we
Yeah.
do that, make sure you
Yeah.
go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also subscribe to the RHAP YouTube channel where you can see our podcast. You can see our faces and with the graphics of the couples in case you ever forget their names or what they look like. Last week we did a call to leave us 5-star ratings and reviews. And we said that if we reached 512, we would watch Later Daters and do a podcast about it. We are now at 520. So
Yeah.
thank y'all. We will be watching Later Daters. We will be giving you a podcast about it sometime in the near future. We'll announce when that is happening. We got to have time to watch it.
Listen, yeah, I don't know. We might have created a monster. Like,
Yeah.
do y'all want episode 12 of Married at First Sight season 18? I don't know. I might need
Yeah.
3 or 5 reviews to get the next episode. Do we want to start that? No, I don't think so. Listen, we put out the call. You guys responded
More than answered.
fantastically. Within a couple of days, we were there. So we thank you guys so much for that. Listen, I don't know why we got a dangling incentive for y'all to put in reviews. We keep asking for it, but it's great that you guys did that. Yeah, exactly. Fine, we'll do it. Reading a lot of these reviews, a lot of great reviews that we will be reading throughout the weeks. We might even take us into next season. Who knows?
Right. We will be working our way
much.
through. So don't worry. If you left us a 5-star rating review, it will be read on the podcast. But we're going to only read a couple today. This first one is from Tracy Renee. The title is Love to Laugh. I normally am a sucker for a love story. However, I hope for a train wreck each week. I laugh so hard at the commentary between Aysha and Jason during the messiest weeks. Yeah.
Listen, Tracy Renee is on my side. We love mess.
Yeah.
We love drama. Give it all to us. The one I'm going to read, we've gone through this before. This is technically a 2-star review, but I think a finger just slipped because the review is pretty good. So E. Willis B is the author. So E. Willis B, I'm going to need you to take a look at your reviews, and if your finger might have slipped, you accidentally gave us a 2, maybe slide over to a 5, because this is a pretty good review. The review reads, I'm a 73-year-old woman who enjoys every second of this hilarious podcast. Married at First Sight is such a frustrating show. However, your banter and perspective is very enjoyable. Thank you for all you do. Sounds like a 5-star to me. So so E. Willis B, just take a look at your review thing, and if you can slide that back over to a 5, we'd be greatly appreciative.
Yeah. We also got one from Arthur Atbara titled Love You Guys, and the message is hope we get to 20. So people were like, had them stats.
Yeah.
I'll ask for it.
So we definitely got there very, very fast. So again, thank you all so much for all the lovely ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. And so if you did miss last week, which hopefully you didn't, please go back and listen. But we will be watching the show Later Daters that's on Netflix, produced by Michelle Obama. And we will do a podcast just reviewing the season and giving our thoughts about it. So also, another place where you can join us for conversation is the Facebook group. This week it was popping because everyone was talking about episode 10. So make sure that you go join our Facebook group. All you need is a password. And this week the password is
trauma and vulnerability. What this episode was all about.
Dr. Pepper was like, okay, so I don't think you two get along very well, but it probably stems from your childhood.
It's not the fact you just don't like each other's, personalities. Like, there's got to be a real reason, right? But listen, no, Dr. Pepper came in and clocked into work this episode. We have been a little critical of Dr. Pepper over the past couple seasons, where it just seems like she just shows up for the fun stuff. But she came and did some work today. So proud of you, Dr. Pepper. But
she said, don't ask nothing else from me this season.
This is my one.
Did you see episode 11?
I did the damn thing.
She's like, I paid. This is it. This is done.
I made my money.
Give me more if you want me to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's dive into. Well, before we dive into the couples, which we are talking about the couples, but before we dive into the couples, Mari, you were not with us last week, so please, what did you think about last week?
I'm pulling up my notes again. Kechi. When I tell you, every time this man is on my TV, I can't. You guys perfectly described his demeanor during the 1 month anniversary date and the dinner. Like, I've never seen somebody do as much as they possibly can to elicit a reaction out of somebody, just to be like, yep, there it is. There it is. Like, and then to be so obtuse about, I kept my vows. No, sir. Like, it's those people who know that, like, they specifically put out an energy, specifically very passive aggressive, put out an energy till you finally have to be like, are you okay? And then for them to be like, I'm okay, you okay, why are you asking about, am I okay? Like,
it's the stank. Like, that's what I call it. It's just the stankness that permeates his being. Like, it's just, that he emanates out to everybody. It's like that dark cloud he brings along. That's a stank that he. I
think the dark cloud is attached to that backpack because
exactly
where he goes.
Stupid ass backpack. I'm sorry.
That's where he keeps the bullshit. That's where he keeps the bullshit. He brings it out every time he has the backpack.
Everywhere you go. Where you are not.
What is in it? I would only do an after season podcast them to figure out what is in the backpack. Just let me know what's in
where he goes. Like, this isn't Europe. You're not backpacking across a continent. Like, why do you constantly have this bag?
Because
like,
he is a teacher, right? Like,
he's like a counselor. He's not like a teacher. He's like a counselor. Yeah.
Because it would be one thing if he were like, okay, he works full time from home, so he needs his laptop with him wherever he goes.
I think he thinks it makes him more artsy. Or more interesting to have a backpack. I think that's there's probably nothing. There's like balled up newspapers in that backpack or something. I don't know.
His one chapstick.
Yeah.
We honestly need to just get Chappelle on here and ask him what he does, because Kechi, from what I understand, does exactly what Chappelle used to do. So we should just ask him, like, did you need a backpack of this magnitude?
or Shaq. I feel like Shaq from a couple seasons ago did the same thing. And I think I'd rather talk to Shaq than to Kechi. So maybe I'll just ask Shaq. We'll have Shaq on and ask Shaq what a Kechi does. Like, can you tell us what Kechi does? Because I mentioned on the Facebook group, I was like, it actually kind of scares me that Akechi counsels young people. If this is the way that he goes through life and that he acts towards certain things, it scares me that he's talking to young people about how to live life. Even if it is just to pick colleges or whatever.
I agree. Akechi screams. Like, can we check his browser history? I'm pretty sure we got some Dr. Umar and Dr. Sebi up in that browser history. Like,
back in the day, Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, the high value man of it all. I feel like that's exactly what he thought coming in here and like, oh yeah, I want a black woman, blah 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 blah. But you guys, everybody has hit it on the head. The insecurities in him are screaming. Like,
I've never seen it be so transparent and clear. What this person's issue is. Like, everyone can clock it. Like, you don't have to have.
I don't know what's wrong.
Everyone can see it, but you, Akechi. Everybody, and I think probably Cal and Pia can see it. I just don't think they want to really put him out there like that, which they should.
I hope when the cameras cut, like on this episode, they were like, "Look,
brother,
now would be real talk with you."
Yeah.
And then. Also, from last week, when Michelle said, "You don't ask me any questions," I was like, I physically had to look around. I was like, I know for a fact you told him to stop asking you things.
Girl, it's on camera. we filmed it.
She just wakes up every day like it's a new day. To forget anything that's happened in the past. 51st dates.
Oh my God. And then finally, when I tell you, I was like, okay, Alan. I don't know how anybody could saw Alan's demeanor at that table and not fall in love with him. Madison just doesn't like that man.
Yeah, that's
because I was like, yes, Big Al, let him know. Let him
Big
know.
Not Big Al. Yeah, she's already so turned off from him that nothing he can do at this point is going to shift that.
Yeah. But all in all, like you guys said, episode 10 was a banger. It was worth the wait too. Like honestly, that was a banger. And you know,
And then we got episode 11.
yeah. Yeah. We need a little come down and we'll see what happens next week. So
I mean, next week looks like it's gonna be good. So I can't wait
Yeah,
to
it
talk
does.
about the little
Next week
tidbits
looks
we did.
Looks like we start the sex message next week. The
Yeah.
sex message saga. I can't wait. I love it. Because I was nervous. Because I did watch. Because so many people were talking about the previews they showed on the little fluff piece they
Yes.
did on the what has happened so far instead of after party last week. So I did view that. I fast forwarded through all the panel discussions.
Only interesting part were the
Yes.
sneak peek.
Yes, I only went to the sneak peeks for each couple. And in the sneak peek, Madison talks about the sex message, and she mentions to MM like it's going to be interesting couples retreat. I was like, oh god, we're gonna have to wait like 5 weeks for this text message thing, but apparently it starts next week. So I'm interested to see what happens in that preview. Like the reasoning for David for that sex message is so terrible. It's such a bad lie. I don't want to talk about it here. We'll talk about it next week when it happens. But it's such a bad lie that it's just comical.
It's
just
a really
comical.
bad lie.
It's so comical.
That's hilarious.
We'll talk about it next week. But yeah, so I'm excited that that's all happening next week.
Is it wrong that I'm glad it's a bad lie? Because if it was like a good lie, I would be
right.
scared.
Then be like, yeah.
I'd be like,
no,
yeah,
it's like
have you done this?
You're not used to lying.
Exactly.
That was bad. So it kind of makes me think you are actually a good guy because you just got yourself in some mess right now. You don't know how to cover it up.
I love that.
Okay, let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about Madison and Alan. These two, man, we ended, like you said last week, Alan taking up for MM. He is like, no, I don't care if I'm one of the guys. I'm going to hold you accountable for how you're acting right now. And we saw in the like still to come, they showed him and MM hugging. So it just seems like they are developing a really good friendship.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about.
I appreciate that.
You need somebody else because we got so much last season of girls versus guys.
Yeah.
That even Chloe befriending the guys was like, whoa, what are you doing, girl?
Cross the line.
Yeah.
Can I have guy friends in this group?
Yeah, because it reminds me of Houston, right? With Marla and Johnny. Being friends.
So
somebody else.
Was that her name?
Mirla. Sorry, my bad.
No, you were closer than I ever would have been.
Yeah.
Martha? Her name was Martha, right?
I wouldn't even have a baseline.
I mean, come on, they give me the props because this stuff be coming one ear and out the other once the season is over.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we start out. We're thinking, okay, they're coming off a high. We're just gonna get into their nonsense or whatever, right? We start out with her filming herself saying last night was interesting. He had planned a date to go watch a game at a bar. And so they watched the game at the bar. They came home. She's getting ready for bed. She's brushing her teeth. And Alan puts on his backpack and he said, hey, I'm actually going to go sleep at my apartment. Then they cut to the camera in the apartment to show us the interaction. And she's like,
I don't the surveillance cam. We love the surveillance cam.
Yes.
Right.
This did its job. It definitely did its job.
It did. And she's like, I don't think you should drive. Like, you've been drinking. And he's like, it's my life. Like, it is what it is. And she's like, okay, then have a good night, Alan. And then he's like walking out the door with his backpack to go sleep at his apartment. And she's like, idiot.
This was so weird because their conversation, she's like, I don't know why you act like nothing can touch you. He's like, that's just how I live my life. I'm like, what? Who says this? Like,
I'm invincible.
That should tell you right there that you have had enough to drink that you should not be driving.
Yeah.
You're talking this way. Like, that right there should tell everyone you had more than enough.
I agree. I think it was the combination of alcohol, but you could just also tell in this episode, Alan was done. I think he was He was
He's
done.
at his breaking point.
And so I'm wondering if, like, again, I'm all pure speculation, but now I'm really wondering if she finally had that off camera conversation with him, like,
This
you
is
know,
not working.
let's just
Like,
keep it cute on camera.
yeah.
This
Mhm.
ain't working, and he just was done from it. Kind of, kind of like with what happened with Emily, I believe. Emily
Yeah,
and Brennan.
and we get no real reason why he left. Like,
Yeah, he said he has some
Yeah.
things to do that he just it would was just better for him to be at his place.
Right.
yeah, which
Right.
makes no sense.
Exactly.
So it's like I wanted to be in my zone. I wanted to have a good night's sleep. Like, so you can't have a good night's sleep at the apartment. Like,
You know what I
what
think
is
it
happening?
is? And Alan isn't admitting to it at least yet. I feel like they were at that bar. He saw how friendly and like jovial she was being with everybody else. And it just
Yep.
further validated his thought that she's not attracted to him. She can't even
Mhm.
fake being like this with him. And it's
Yep.
just like, okay, now we're in this social situation where I'm getting to see the version of her I want to see when she's with me. But she's doing so easily doing it with all these strangers and people we're with. And that got to me. He said, look, I just got to go.
I agree. I think all of the above. But also she's right. You should not be drinking and driving. And the moment this is the most emotion we've seen from her in regarding him, like, since the honeymoon. And I immediately was like, okay, this is something more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it was necessarily just concern for him. I was like, oh, I think there's some trauma behind drinking and driving for her as well.
And Dr. Pepper said, I'll suss it out.
I mean, even that was apparent. Like, we didn't need Dr. Pepper for that one. Like,
exactly.
I don't think so. Alan was the only person who didn't realize it.
Right. So they haven't talked. And so the only way I guess they're able to talk is in the car. So he comes and picks her up, and we have they're finally talking since that incident where he left, right? And so she wants to know why he decided to leave. He's like, I feel like there's been some like miss something. Like, I appreciate you were concerned about me, but I was well within my means to drive. She's like, well, I disagree. Like, I wanted to know why you needed to drive home. We were both home already. We're at the apartment. Why did you need to go? She said, well, there's just some stuff I had to do that I really had to be in my zone for. She was like, do you really think you did nothing wrong? And he's like, look, I could have handled that better, I guess. But it was a choice that he's like, it's a choice I had to make. She's like, you and I are in a marriage now. He's like, true. She was like, so like you were going 15 minutes. That's not a couple of blocks. Like, you were going 15 minutes. And he was like, no, I know my limits. I'm a 200-pound man. What's a 4% beer going to do? Alan, don't play us. You were at a game. You were watching a game. You did not drink a single 4-ounce beer or 4% beer. You drink enough while you're watching the game, like everyone does.
No grown adult should be drinking and driving when we have Uber. Like, now that Uber has been completely invented, sorry cabs. Like, it's just, you should not be drinking and driving.
And this is it's the worst justification, right? This is what you hear from people every time they try and justify drunk driving or impaired driving, whatever you want to call it. It's like, I didn't have that much to drink. I was totally fine. You are not in a headspace to judge for yourself, really, when you've been drinking. Now, I don't drink, so I've never really been in this situation. So it's just like, but I know you're not in a situation where you can really rationally determine whether you can drive or not. And
you're not in your best ability to be making decisions after you've been drinking. But even I get her point. The other side of that, not only is he putting himself in danger, okay, you may have had a couple of drinks, you feel fine, you feel like your cognitive abilities are great. You're putting yourself in a position to be out there with other drunk drivers when you don't have to be. Like, he's voluntarily putting himself on the highway when he was already home.
Yep.
So
even without Madison's triggers, associated with this, I think she, as well as anyone, would have a right to say, like, like, whether you had one, whether you had two, like, you may not have been inebriated, but you were under the influence enough so that even if you are cognitively fine, if you get pulled over for whatever reason and you get a breathalyzer, you're going to be hit with a DUI. So just for those reasons, even if you are, like, in your mind altogether, you are taking that risk when you go out there. When you, like Asia said, you don't need to be. You are already
Right. It was
here at home.
voluntary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who knows what time it was? Like, do we get a timestamp?
I mean, but if it's after a
Oh,
game,
I
you can
can't
imagine.
remember.
So that probably
Yeah.
was midnight. This might have been midnight to
Right.
1
She's
if it
getting
was
ready
night
for
Oh,
game.
bed. She wasn't getting ready
Yeah.
for bed at 5 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
So
So
yeah, it's definitely nighttime. And so he's like, it was just a straight shot down the highway. It's literally 3 turns. She's like,
Yeah.
we're just gonna keep disagreeing. He's like, well, I just don't see any attempt from you to see my point of view. She's like I said just a second ago, she said, you put yourself and others at risk. And she's like, at this route, like, I don't even think we should drink together, or like at least have a 2-drink limit. And he's like, I look, I thought you were just going with the flow. I didn't know like you were gonna feel this way about it. And she's like, I did not think you were drinking too much. I just felt like you were being careless. He's like, I just don't like being told I can't do something. So I was like,
Mhm.
that's the
Sir.
root of it.
Sir, you are in the wrong game. The marriage game is not for you if you don't want to be told what to do and what not to do. You are that right there tells me you are not ready. This is not for you, sir. If you don't want to be told what to do and what not to do, get out of here. Come on.
But no, also it's like, again, this feels like dying on the wrong hill. He just wants to say no to something from
Yeah.
her,
Yes.
but
And-
this
and
is
to-
the wrong topic
and to
for
be
it.
this forceful about drinking and driving, like,
Right.
sir, like that is
Sorry.
like, I think if you could poll all of America, drinking and driving, not good. Like, so
You're right.
there's not a lot of people that are going to be on your side on this one. Alan.
Not the
Like,
hill.
we have been
So
on
many
your
hills
side.
she's giving you.
So many.
This is not the one.
Yeah, this ain't the one. The attraction piece, yes. This, no. Like, we have been on Alan's side all season long.
Mhm.
But this is a bad look, my guy. Like, this is not a good look for you at all.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
She's like, okay, if you don't want to be told what to do, I don't want to live a life like that. And he's like, well, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on yesterday. It just was like, it was just another thing. Obviously, they are not in a good place. We know that. That's
Yeah.
obvious. But this was just another example to her why her and Alan are not a good match. And because he's at this point of like being at a breaking point, he feels like she's not attracted to him. He's like, he feels like there's nothing he can do. Now he's just trying to put his foot down and
Mhm.
on unnecessary stuff. Like, you could have just like, what was the real? I don't know if it would have helped to know the real reason or to know the specifics. Like, maybe he should have just been honest with her. Like, look, I don't think you're attracted to me. I feel like we're faking it, and I didn't want to be in the same space.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wouldn't have helped, but at least it
Yeah,
wouldn't have made,
sure.
I don't know. Yeah. So, we get this like it's like a selfie video. And Alan has gotten to the realization that there's a lot about him, like his sense of humor, his sense of
Mhm.
style, that he has realized he's had to dial back for Madison. And he's never had to do this much work for someone to get a feeling about him. And he really wonders if she finds him attractive. So he does want to talk to the experts about that.
Like, welcome to where we've all been, Alan. Like,
Yeah.
what took you so long? Like,
Mhm.
maybe she doesn't like me. She doesn't like so many things about me. What on earth could she like about me? Thank you, Alan. We've been here waiting for you this whole time, like, to finally catch up with us.
Welcome.
We're
Yeah,
welcoming
and
him with open arms. Yes, she
Mhm.
does not. Yes. No.
And
Finally here.
I would probably bet money that this camera confessional happened the day they went out, like before.
Yeah.
Like they gave it us in the order of after, but I could definitely see that the wheels of this was turning for the night before they
Mhm.
went out.
That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, because I mean, they want to put this confessional here to frame the upcoming Pepper discussion.
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So they do meet with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's like, look, what's been going on? And Alan's like, look, I came in to be 100% myself. And like, whether it's his fashion sense, he makes an effort to shift to be more presentable for her, to be attractive to her. And he says, the more you chip away, you start to realize, like, is there anything that she's actually attracted to make it, that makes it worth fighting for?
Mhm.
And Dr. Pepper's like, okay, Madison, what do you like about him? She's like, well, I like his effort. Like, he's really trying with this.
It's
Okay,
the
I like
boilerplate of
his
what she's been saying. You try so hard, and I just keep knocking you down. But I like that you keep
right.
trying.
You get back up every time. I love that.
It was like somebody said, and took the veil off of Alan's like eyes,
Yeah.
and he's finally like, no, ma'am, that you didn't answer the
He's like,
question.
Right.
like,
This is not what we was talking about.
he's like, I keep hearing that. That's just not good enough. I'm gonna need
Yeah.
something more. I'm gonna need
Right.
something else. What about me physically do you find it? Like, he is laying it all out there. Like, do you physically find me attractive? Do you like my face? Do you like my body? What about me do you like, other than I'm still here, basically?
And she said,
Yeah.
"Hey, that's a weird question." He said, "Is it?"
Like, I don't think it is.
Because so when Dr. Pepper asked, she said she liked his effort and she liked his thoughtfulness. And Alan's like, that's not what keeps a fire going. Like, and
Mhm.
that's the truth. Like, you could say
Mhm.
that about any friend. Like, that's not what you find attractive about your husband. And so for her to say that was a very weird question to ask is wild. But
Wild.
Alan does say, he's like, I feel like it's fitting a square peg into a round hole, because I see how natural she is with the other girls. I see how natural she is with David.
Dang.
He knows. He knows.
He
He
knows.
knows, everybody.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows. He has figured it out. Oh my God. I screamed when he said that. I'm like, oh, he's clocked it.
He didn't say
He's
the
clocked
other
it.
guys. He said
David.
David. It's like,
Ooh.
oh, and you could no expression changed in her face. And I know inside she's just like, oh, have we been that obvious?
What did he see?
She's like,
Has he been checking my
swallows.
phone? Has he been checking my phone?
Mhm.
She's like, oh, shoot. Dr. Pepper, are you hot?
I'm a little hot in here.
Madison, you all of a sudden turned
All of a
red.
sudden,
You turned red. Are you okay? Like,
I'm
what's the problem?
perspiring.
I sweat in here. It's so hot.
Right. That just all these weird questions.
Am I under a lot of lights right now? It feels like I'm under a lot of lights.
Right. So I mean, props to Alan for finally just asking, what does she find attractive? And so Dr. Pepper's like, well, no, that's like real. Like, what do you find attractive about him? She's like, well, like the other day I said he looked really good. I said he looked handsome. So I guess I could say more things like that whenever I feel it.
Dr. Pepper's like, he's looking for scraps. Like, she literally said scraps. He's looking for anything from you to like give him some indication of what you like about him. That's just like, the problem is, like, there's no scraps. There's nothing. Like, the table is clear. There's nothing to give him.
And I feel so bad for Alan, because like you said, we saw at that dinner, we're kind of seeing it now. Like, and I even going back to like the matching special and stuff like that, he did used to have like a lot of confidence, him and his gangster fur coat or whatever. Like he used to be like very confident, very outspoken and stuff like that. And he went into this trying to do everything he can to make the marriage work, to make her happy. And her fear of like, oh, I'm afraid that he'll change for me. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because she kept kind of like slowly and like mind melding him to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a sense. And he just wanted it so bad that he even himself slowly started doing it. Because at the beginning he was like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But slowly and surely he just kept chipping away. And I think just now he realizes, like, I need to stop chipping away from myself. And as we see from the scenes going forward, it's like he's slowly getting back to himself. I feel bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I really do.
Because he wants this. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And at this point, there's nothing he can do about it. Like, it's at it. Like, he's trying to compliment her more because she said that's what she needed. He's trying to like change up his wardrobe a little bit. He's trying to do the things that she enjoys, like doing the treetop, like the ropes course thing, doing her little workout that he went with her on. Like, he is putting forth the effort, which he likes the effort.
And it's like him and David are all going through the same things,
They're
like
chasing someone.
they're
Like,
chasing,
Yes.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they're chasing. They're not being chased. They have to change themselves, and it's been a theme this season of
Mhm,
like, hey, change in a marriage is natural. Some change is fine, but when you
mhm.
are totally having to overhaul yourself as a person,
Right.
then you're not compatible. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for slight tweaks, slight changes, not a total like a total 180 of yourself and to change everything about you. That's not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just like, is it don't change too much, or is it your partner needs to be able to be there to validate the change? Because think of Tom and Camille. Like Camille's like, oh, there's some things about Tom I want to change, and he's slowly changing for her, but she's there to reciprocate, to appreciate, to big him up still. You know what I'm saying? It's like those people don't have the Camille side of the relationship in order to make it work. Like Tom is doing everything to make it work, and Camille is doing everything to make it work. They're both putting in the effort to make it work, even if it's
Yeah.
changing one or both of them. With David and Michelle, MM and Akechi, Madison and Alan, the one halves are changing. They're doing everything they can because they want to keep this marriage, but their partners don't. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just a brick wall.
and these partners, need quote unquote change, but like with a Madison, it's like, okay, work out more, do this, do that. It's also she doesn't like his personality. She doesn't like
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
She doesn't
like
like
who
the
he
way
is
he
at the core.
looks.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not about style. It's not about the outside. It's about who he is as a person. It's about his humor is definitely a turn off for her. Like she doesn't
Mhm.
like that, and it's just it. Yes, his style is a problem, but I just think at his core, she does not like who he is, and
I
there's
agree.
really nothing unless a complete like lobotomy and change of total personality that's really going to help Alan land Madison. I think it's already over
Exactly.
before it
It's
even really
done.
started.
And he's
So
realizing
Yeah.
it.
yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
slowly comes to that
He's
realization
finally
now,
realizing.
and he's trying to ask these questions. I think is also trying to get her to be real and honest, and she's doing the dance to try to actually avoid saying like, no, this is never going to happen. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
not going to come out and say that because she doesn't want to look bad on camera. Honestly,
Right.
Mhm.
like like this is the first time she's really been kind of backed into a corner of like, what do you like about him? Do you like anything? She's like, well, he's okay. He's a good guy, I guess. Like she's trying to dodge and dance, and
Yeah.
I don't think Dr. Pepper really kept that throttle to really nail her, because then we kind of transition into this childhood trauma talk and really kind of get away from the realness of, no, you just don't like Alan.
Right.
like
Dr.
Mhm.
Pepper literally was like, okay, so you're finding it hard to find things attractive to him, attractive about him, but y'all did both have rugged childhoods, right?
Like, what is it? What does
Right.
one thing have to do with the other? Like that's just like that smooth transition of nonsense. It's like, oh,
So
okay,
smooth.
let's just talk about our childhoods, I guess, because that will help. Because I don't know, like because we need
Reasons. Yeah.
content.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Just transition of the century.
Dr. Pepper's
Uh,
like, I'm here to talk about your past, your traumas, your vulnerabilities. I don't care how we have to get there. Because when I think about it, every conversation you have with every person I'm here to talk about childhood traumas. I don't care what else I
mm-hmm.
got going on. I'm going to find a way to take what you talk about and to transition to what I want to talk about. That's what
Mhm.
she did with every couple she talked to this episode.
Yes. Um. So she asked about these rugged childhoods, and she said, like, Alan, you had a rugged tussle over who would be your parent. And Alan's like, yeah, like, I don't even remember my childhood before the age of 10. I tried running at the
Mm.
bailiff during the cussy hearings. Like, I felt like no one was listening to me and what I wanted. And Madison's just like looking at him. She's like, yeah, I can't imagine going through that. Like, I really hate that for you. Um, but she was like, but I feel like we wouldn't be the awesome people we are today without going through all of that. And Dr. Pepper's like, yeah, so like, what have y'all shared with each other? And she's like, well, I've shared about my mom, but I haven't gone into a lot of details. But like the disagreement about the drinking that we had, like, I feel like once Alan knows more, he'll really understand like why I felt the way that I did. She said she didn't have a normal childhood because she didn't have a solid foundation. She didn't feel safe. She was scared. She was alone. And there's a lot that she's blocked out. And her mom has said hurtful things in her life that like has even stuck with her to this day. And Alan was like, yeah, like I didn't get a sense of that. And I can appreciate like you have every right to feel uncomfortable. And I don't want to be the reason that you don't feel safe. So for me, the moment I know that you don't feel safe, that's going to be an instant shift for me.
So was she trying to say like her mother had a drinking problem?
Yeah. I think
Right. Okay.
that's saying it without saying it. I think
Right.
was what she was doing here.
Yeah.
So
She
even
kept
in a
bringing up
confessional, she's like,
DUIs and
yeah, because in a
stuff.
confessional, she said, she's had family and people she knows struggle with DUIs and all that stuff. So that was part of what really struck her about the Allen thing. So it does make sense. It just doesn't have anything. It really doesn't have anything to do with their real core problem.
Yeah.
And as like they're talking and we find out that they haven't really talked to each other about these childhoods, about these traumas, because it's so hard to get to that level when you are stuck at this surface level of like not liking this each other as a person. Like it's hard to really like, as we see with Camille and Thomas, like they're kind of open books with each other. They are able to talk to each other about these past or these traumas. They already kind of knew these things before the Pepper visit, but now with Madison and Alan and then Michelle and David later, like we didn't know this deeper stuff until now, because we can't even get past the hello, how you doings to really get to the nitty gritty. So that's a big problem with not being able to really kind of I guess like your partner, is that it's hard to get to those spaces.
Yeah. And it's kind of like it reminds me of the early episodes when they're like, oh, Alan and Madison can relate on this upbringing they've had because it's very similar, but like you can't even get to the root of like finding out why you're matched is the next step after you just realize that, oh, okay, I think I kind of like this person. Like I enjoy their company. Okay, now let's figure out why we were really matched. But if you can't get past that first hurdle, no one's trying to figure out why they're a match if they don't like this person. Okay, you find out, then what?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's why we were matched.
Who cares?
Yeah, and like when we think about the successful couples of MAFS, it's people that are able to kind of do the work themselves without a lot of hand holding of experts. Like I think about Nicole and Chris, right? One of the better success stories. They were on childhood trauma like night one. They were like, this is all my trauma. Let me tell you all about it. They didn't need prodding from experts to really get into that area. I think a lot of our successes are able to do that themselves, other than these people that are stuck on surface and not able to get past that level where they need experts, where they literally need experts to come in and say, okay, say this to them. Okay, now you say this to them. Like to really just handhold these people into finding out more about the partner they've been matched with, because they won't do the work themselves.
And I feel like, of course, my memory could be failing me, but I feel like the only time that's really worked is like maybe Miles and Karen, season 11, but that's because they had more time. Like that was the only season that went beyond 8 weeks because of COVID. And that was, it granted them the ability to have more time and be like, okay, I think I can, commit to this past the experiment. But when you just have 8 weeks, it's not enough if you need that type of expert intervention.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's needless to say on our ratings, we are a solid ones across the board.
Very much so.
Okay. For next week, on the next time on, we did get Madison and Alan. They're doing another date. They're like at a batting cages. They're playing fetch, or not fetch.
Fetch. Dog-minded to the end.
They're throwing catch. I'm like, what is the human equivalent?
Pepper is sitting at your feet like, she said fetch? Did she say fetch? We're going fetch? We're doing fetch now?
I know, I'm going to wake them up. They're sleeping so peacefully at my feet.
Fetch.
Madison does tell him she does want this to work. But that's all we get from them next week. So I don't know if it's going to be a light week for them or what, because it's seeming like they're kind of taking some weeks off from really spending a lot of time on couples. I mean, that's every week for Carla and Juan. But this week it was like when we got to Camille and Thomas, I was like, oh shoot, we haven't visited them yet this episode. Where have they been?
Yeah, they were. It was a while before we saw them, but they just don't really have a lot to talk about. So that makes sense. Same thing with this next couple, Juan and Carla. Whew. Boy. So we see the first thing we get from them is Carla is messing with her sound baths or whatever. I thought we were about to have a sound bath session. I was like, oh, cool.
No,
But no, she
finish the session.
yeah, she was just tinkering. But her sister Evie comes over. This is apparently the first time Evie's been to the apartment, and Carla was like, "This is your first time here?"
Carla
Like,
was dumbfounded.
sure. This is your first time? Like, how many people have you had in your apartment? I was like,
well,
it's the spot now for her and her friends. They just come over and hang.
So they sit and talk. Or we find out that Carla has actually had a client actually come over to her to get her hair service. So Carla's like, yeah, like I kind of like, I'm doing well. Like I actually have clients coming to meet me now. She's like, I manifested all of that. And, they talk about how great it is that she's going out on her own.
I thought it was hilarious that they actually gave a name to that client. Like, not that she doesn't deserve a name, but I was like, oh, this is going to be relevant to the story. Like, we got Amelia, like her client, and she's like, look, I can't go to anyone that's not you. And I was like, is this a commercial?
Their whole segment was a commercial. This whole thing was a commercial for Carla's upcoming
They were
business.
trying to show, they were like, look, she really does have a job, y'all. We swear. We promise. Like, she's not lying. She is employed. Which, honestly, like, maybe it's MAFS being a little shady. Maybe it's Juan being shady. But if she traveled, a traveling hairstylist, baby, not only do you make a lot of money, you have loyal clients. When my traveling hair braider stopped braiding hair and stopped traveling, it hurt my soul. Like, it was the person I had been going to for years. Well, she's been coming to me for years. When I first had my kids, so I hadn't had to go to the shop in years to get my hair done because I couldn't leave the house. And now I'm just in the wind. I'm like, it's in shambles. So
convenience of having
a exactly.
Yeah.
And they charge you extra, and I will pay extra for you to come here. It is so absurdly worth it. So Carla, like, as much as this little section was kind of like, it felt in one way kind of bigging her up, but also kind of like, like Dodo music a little bit. She really could like make money, be able to have that flex schedule she wants, and really thrive as a traveling stylist or a stylist, like, with no brick and mortar shops are on the way out when it comes to salons. Really,
that's what Carla wants. That's what Carla keeps talking about, brick and mortar shop. So I don't know. But yeah, she talks about reflecting on her relationship with Juan. So like, okay, like time to talk about the marriage, how it's going.
Oh yeah, that is why we're here.
Yeah. She's like, I want to figure out how to make our relationship grow. She says, I want to feel wanted by Juan. She says, Juan is super analytical. He's super structured. And, whenever I talk to him about my business plan, I'm always about, it's all energy and all this stuff. And I haven't been really like specific with him. So, and all the things Juan talks to me about business, I never thought about it that way. And I really want to learn from him and remain open and be clearer on my intentions. And I want to show him that I can come up with a business plan and connect that way. I said, that's what you're going to talk about your relationship is about, making a business plan? Like, that's what we're going to do? And this was just the start of this type of nonsense. Because we see a scene of them going out to dinner. I don't know what it is about. Is Chicago a huge sushi city? Because every time they go out to dinner, they're having sushi. It's all about sushi. We go to the Wagyu sushi house. I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is there so much focus on sushi this season? So we sit down. The first thing we
I have to kind of take a page out of Aysha's book. When I saw that place, I was like, oh my God, there's a place in DC that me and my husband have bookmarked for Valentine's Day that's exactly like it. It is a Wagyu place where you can taste like Wagyu beef while also doing like sushi and stuff. I'm so excited. I was like, that was my sign. We got to make it happen. But I'm sorry.
For sure.
Hopefully you get a great waiter like this guy was, who introduced us to all they were eating. I was like, what? Yeah. Like, what is this? So I was like,
Jason, that's not for you. That's for us.
I know.
I love hearing that.
I know. So we sit down, we're talking. So you think we're going to talk about our relationship, our marriage, what we can do? Like, I'm all ears. Like, let me know. And Juan's just like, so now that you have your own business, what do you think that looks like for you? Carla's like, well, I brought a planning book. I wanted to pick your brain and get all your ideas. So the rest of this segment is just her talking about her ideas for her salon. She wants
Taking
us
notes.
just taking notes from Juan. She wants a salon. She just wants one chair in the salon, and then she will also convert it into a Pilates studio and also sound healing studio for her to do all that stuff in together. And Juan's throwing ideas. He's like, I think you should have other chairs because then you can have more people. You can expand your franchise. Don't you want that? And Carla's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. We talk about her business. She has an LLC. We talk about branding, her website, how she's managing it. I'm like, what? Like, I thought we were going to spend like 2 minutes on this and talk about your
we got
relationship.
every single question. And that's the scary part. There was more than that.
Yeah.
But he's just, you think you should hire someone to handle your website? Why are we?
Yeah.
Is this Married at First Sight or Juan's Apprentice? Because it just doesn't make sense. Why this matters to their relationship?
Hear me out.
Uh-oh.
This was the most Juan was talking to Carla. Like, this is the happiest he looked like he's been.
Sad.
I can mansplain business to you. I can mansplain business.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Yes, that's what it feels like. It feels like she knew, like, oh, maybe getting him to talk about this gets him excited, gets them connect. Honestly, it looked like the most connection they've had ever. And sometimes that's what is needed. She was trying to worm her way in there. Now it could have just been the music. They could have just been putting the music under there so that it could seem like it. But honestly, when Juan is so nonchalantly off her like he is, she's just, again, like Alan, looking for scraps. She's just trying to, like, they're just trying to connect. They're trying to get through this. They're both so chill and so whatever that it's just kind of like, it's not manifesting into a relationship. That's for sure.
Right, that's for sure.
For sure. I just kind of think Carla's like, I came here for a marriage. I'm not going to get that. I might as well, get some business ideas, pick his brain while I'm here, because that's all we're going to be here for. I think that's part of what it is. She's just come to realize, like, hey, I could use this guy for some information. And so we had the dinner. We talked all business. There's no relationship stuff at all. So next we go to a Pilates studio. She wants to show Juan her world and what's important to her, and wants him to get a glimpse of what she wants her business to be like. I am not well versed in Pilates at all. Like, I kind of thought it was just like, it was almost similar to yoga, but they put these people in what I would call like a torture device. Like, I don't know what this thing was.
It's called a transformer. And the amount of questions. No, it's not a transformer. Oh, sorry, Pilates people, don't get at me. Okay, it's called a reformer.
A reformer.
There it is.
And so it looks.
It kind of looked like Transformer. It could have transformed.
I've been waiting for Aysha to explain this to me all week.
Right? The amount of questions that Juan had would never cut it in a real Pilates class. My first Pilates class, I was so confused, like the natural flow of everything. And they said, catch up or you're going to get left. They just literally, thankfully, my friend, she also was confused, but we had another friend. So we just watched everything she did, but it's just like here, push back. Okay, core, stand up, lunge. It's just like, but it's a good workout. It's definitely a good workout. It's more, I guess it's more like core strength focus than more so than yoga. But Pilates is intense.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
Juan definitely was confused, but this lady Gloria, who was Carla's, I guess, Pilates mentor, I guess it's important for Carla for her business mentor to be her Pilates mentor. Like, we all work together. But after the Pilates session, Gloria lets Juan hit the little gong thing. Carla tells Juan,
he was too excited about that.
He was so excited. He's like, really? He's like, dude, that's so fun. Carla says, she aspires to be like Gloria, and Gloria's like, Carla is such a beautiful being. You're lucky to have her. It's like, okay, cool. Gloria also lets them pick out a crystal as if like you ever go to the dentist and like you got to pick a toy out of the toy chest after you got to.
Yes.
That's what this is like.
My
Okay,
son does that all the
you're
time.
both allowed to pick out a crystal for you to take home. So just open the chest and get the crystal. Don't read what the crystal's for. Just pick one. So they both pick a crystal, and Juan's crystal is supposed to give him patience and sensitivity. Carla's is supposed to give her energy and strength. In a confessional, Juan says, it's really nice to kind of share this together. Carla tells us about the crystals. They kind of sit down, crisscross style, and just like, crystals. We have crystals inside of us, and they activate in our bodies. Like, put it up to your third eye. Like, is your third eye activated? I was like, oh my god. We then get into superpowers. It's like Carla says, so what is your superpower? He says, my superpower is making people laugh. It's like I've watched the show for 11 episodes, and you have not made me laugh one time.
Right.
He says, what is your superpower? She says, mine is to be super intuitive and understand trauma and help people find alternative ways to heal, like doing hair and doing Pilates. So if you, like, she turns the camera, so if you want someone to help you find your inner self, come on down to Carla's Hair Shack. Whatever her business is going to be.
That would be the worst name.
Whatever. I'm not a branding pro, okay? Sue me. She talks more about her business. She says, I really want my business to be helping others. I want people to feel better on the outside and the inside. In a confessional, Juan says, he's really seen a different side to Carla. She's showing her drive and her ambition. He's like what he hears as her business mentor, not her husband. Like, I'm, and that's their segment, folks. There's not one iota about their marriage or relationship or how they're going to grow their marriage, grow their relationship. Nothing, no expert visit. And it boggles my mind of like, what are we doing here? Are they just refusing to talk about their marriage? Like, what's up?
You know what I think? What was it? 2 episodes ago now, maybe 3. He did say that there's just no romantic spark. And they just completely said, we're going to abandon that storyline. We're not going to revisit it. We're not going to press them on it. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to move forward to this business. Because if anything's good that's going to come out of this relationship, it's getting Carla's business off the ground.
Yeah.
I think that's what they've decided.
She can afford a house after this is done.
Yeah. That just seems like what the goal is now. Like, I can just see producers like feeding them questions, ask each other, just ignore it. Like, so what do you think? What is your LLC named? Like, so what do you think of the name for your business? Like, no, talk about your marriage. And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, this is not what we're doing here. I'm going to show that I am good at mentoring people for business, and she's going to talk about her business so that people can go to her business. That's what we're going to do here. So what? Like, get them off my screen. Get them off my show.
Yeah, I really like. It's so crazy to me because I'm so just shocked that they don't have a spark. Yeah. So it's 2 people who literally came into this talking about how they're like spicy. They said this themselves. It's not me being, they both talked about how sex is so important to the relationship. Remember when Carla said all of that in that van and talked about exchanging energies and stuff like that?
Yep.
That was so long ago. And Alan was over there high-fiving Juan and stuff like that. It's like we had people who were talking about how sensual and sexual and all that stuff was such a big part of a relationship. And it was just like, I guess they're those type of people who are just like, well, if it's not there, it's not there, then bye. Like, instead of working on it. Like, I'm so confused how that happened. It's weird.
Yeah. I've never, in all of our seasons of Married at First Sight, I don't know if I've seen any cast that's been more like lazy and unwilling to actually work on these relationships. It just seems like that's true. Everyone's just like, I saw one bad thing and I was out. It's like that just seems to be what the thing is with almost all of our couples except for Camille and Thomas.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, I just don't know. And these 2, Juan and Carla, just seem the most just checked out and just unwilling to even talk about the marriage. Next time on,
why aren't they being pressed to?
I don't know. Are they just like refusing? I don't know. Like, we did see on the next time on where Juan gets very emotional And in the still to come we saw last week, it did look, they made it seem as if it was a response to an expert question, but now it seems like this is just a Juan and Carla discussion.
Yep.
And he gets up, he's like, I can't do this. This is too much.
So
And like
yeah.
goes over, starts crying. It's like, oh my god. I don't know what this is, but
Well, we'll finally get something. And then did the camera like swing to Carla and she like rolled her eyes or something?
yeah, she's sitting in a chair, just like whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what that's all about. So at least it'll be some content outside of talking about her business.
Did we see a
Exactly.
flashback of him actually with her parents, or was that
That was Thomas
Thomas
and
and his? Because maybe if let's say he doesn't actually meet her family, maybe she says that like, I'm ready for you to meet my family. And he's like, what you think this is? Like, what's going on? And then Carla's like, you know, I feel like maybe that's their meeting of the minds, like where they realize they're on two different pages. And maybe it's
why does Carla think that he's ready to meet her family? Like,
right?
Because I have no idea why. Because I don't see that.
Because he's all of a sudden talking to her more, I guess,
about business. Like Carla has talked to us like so much about I only want to introduce my family if it's the right person and blah blah blah. Like, what is it about Juan that makes him the right person to meet your parents? Because we don't see it for sure. Like,
It's
so
just
what
his
what
idea.
did you see?
Yeah, I think they have different ideas of what a relationship is. And I feel like she sees the business as like their connection point. Okay, like now this is what we have in common. This is what we can focus on. Like, this is great. Like, we both are going to be building each other up and helping each other professionally. When it's like he is, what was his focus? Not physical touch, right? It was
acts of service, like what
yeah.
you do what you do for each other. But like I could just see on decision day him being like, I want to say yes to investing in your company. Like,
Yeah.
you've shown me that you are committed to making your business thrive and work. So it's like that show, I think it was called The Prophet, I think, with this guy who just comes in and decides whether or not he wants to invest in your business. Like, that just seems like what this is.
Yeah.
Like, it's transformed from a marriage show to a business show for Juan. He's like, wait, what? Oh yeah, I did marry her. Like, that's what this is for. I thought it was to help her with her business. I lost the plot after a certain point. So, I guess we do, again, for much like our other couples, I probably need to ask, but we're all probably ones, I would assume.
I just don't have enough to bring me down to a 1.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Another one for the one club. Yep.
It's supposed to only be this like giving of a 1 for like 1, maybe 2 couples. Why do we have 3 like this? This is ridiculous.
We have 4 like this.
4 like this. Who was I giving hope? Nobody. Yeah. 4 like this. All right. Let's talk about David and Michelle. Okay. These two had an interesting week because I don't really understand the goal of what was going on here.
It's for her to change him into Drake.
They're just trying
That's what she's trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reference.
So we get, I feel like they like to start every episode off with David telling us about his day. It's his vlog at this point.
Just a little bit of positive into the episode before everything goes to hell.
Right.
Michelle think he deserves a drink. Like, okay, you know what? Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So
let me just be quiet.
He's on his way to the gym. It's a beautiful day outside. He's like, these are the tangible things that I can hold on to that really make me happy. Just these little things about as simple as it's a beautiful day today. That's something that makes me happy.
But he also is on his way to the gym. Who
I'm
else
on
might
my
be
way to meet Madison. I mean, I'm on my way to the gym.
You're right. I'm on my way to the gym, and the other people in the gym, no matter who they may be.
But here, what about this for a fan fiction? They have a gym at their apartment complex, so he shouldn't be outside if he's going to the gym. What if Madison and David realize, look, our people know we're coming to the gym. We need to go to another gym that's further
This is
so
our
we can
secret
really
gym.
have privacy.
This is our secret gym. This is our
Yeah.
secret meetup gym.
Not the secret
Yeah.
meetup
On the days that we
gym.
want to be honest, we can go to our apartment gym. But on the days we really want to spend time together, Planet Fitness.
Mass is like Planet Fitness. I got a boutique gym I go to. I don't know a broke ass gym
It's like,
David's going
sorry,
to.
Lifetime Fitness.
It's
Which-
good that you know the name of the bougie gym. That
No,
totally
I only know because I have a couple friends that go, and I looked into it, and
Oh,
I
right.
said, "Y'all are
Your
paying
friends.
this."
Your
No,
my friends go there.
no, my
Sure.
friend is a dermatologist, so that's why he goes to that gym. And I was
I don't know why I need to know that your friend was a dermatologist.
because I'm trying to show you we're on two different levels financially.
Brackets.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's in the realm of his budget, whereas that is not in my budget. Lifetime is
Sure.
like close to $200 a month, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can get a decent gym for $30 a month. You have anything else to say, Jason?
No, I will stop talking now.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll get myself in more trouble.
Asia is right. As somebody who went to Planet Fitness, who was a Planet Fitness person, who then had to, when I went to New York, I had to switch gyms, and it was like a regular gym. I was like, how much a month? Like, it was like $100 a month.
Yeah.
And I paid it. I did. I lost a lot of weight at that gym too. But like, you'd be surprised how expensive gyms are.
They are. Yeah.
They're so expensive.
I have a $10 Planet Fitness membership that I do not use.
Same.
I think we've talked about this before because
That
I have
$10 comes off.
I have the Black Card Planet Fitness
Of course
membership.
you do. Of course.
Only
only
so
$20.
that I
Yeah.
can. So when I try
Ridiculous.
go places, I still can go to a Planet Fitness.
But then Mari, she has the other gym memberships. The other.
I do. Okay.
Well, I remember this combo. Yeah. She's gonna
had
she's gonna
3.
get rid of. She's
I
gonna get
now
rid of
have
them.
2.
Mm.
The second one I had at the Y, that one ended at the beginning of January. Now I only have 2 gyms.
Only. Okay.
Just use them for different
Sometimes
purposes.
you need 2 gyms.
Yeah.
But every time that Planet Fitness $10 comes out my account, I'm like, dang, I really need to stop that.
Really
No,
need to
every time
go.
I should
time.
go. I really should go or cancel it. I should go, but I'm not gonna. But I should.
Because if you need to cancel it, that's a whole
Oh,
ordeal.
other kit and caboodle. You got
So
you
it's
got to get
easier
blood.
to just be out of $10 a month.
Yeah. Save yourself.
And that's what I've been telling myself for 10 years.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So yes, David is headed to the gym to meet up with Madison. We are strongly assuming. So David and Michelle get right into the Dr. Pepper visit. First, it's just David. And he arrives by himself and he's like, yeah, I guess Michelle's still at work. He's like, things have been rocky. Like, I've been taking punches left and right. And Dr. Pepper was like, look, Michelle does a lot of stuff out of fear. It's really not about you. It's about what you represent and what you remind her of. And he's like, he just wants her to let him in. And so Michelle gets there. And Dr. Pepper's like, all right, so it's been rough. And they're like, yeah. And Michelle's like, but we have grown a bit. Like, and David's like, yeah, our communication's gotten a lot better. She said, yeah, the other night I came home late and he was already there and we talked for 20 minutes and we've never done that before.
Dr. Pepper, 20 whole minutes, Dr. Pepper. I could stand talking to him for 20 whole minutes. Aren't you proud of me, Dr. Pepper? Like,
we spent 20 minutes on the intro of this podcast.
You're just like, bruh, like that's not the flex you think it is. Like
It was so funny
proud.
too. She was like,
so
we sat there and talked.
I wasn't
minutes.
I was not mean.
Oh.
I was not condescending for that whole 20 minutes, Dr. Pepper. I didn't put him down about what he wears, about his job, about his brokenness. I didn't say nothing about that for 20 whole minutes. Aren't you proud of me?
And that silence
No,
like,
but then Dr. Pepper says, okay.
She said, tell me more.
So
what
else
other strides have you made?
What else you got? And then that's that size you're talking about, Mark. Just like, They look at each other like,
Michelle's like,
what do we got?
she's like, I don't know.
Got nothing. Got
20
nothing.
minutes. That is something you never speak into existence. That is nothing to brag about. 20 minutes. I can talk to a stranger in the store for 20 minutes.
And
I've done it.
You
has.
really have. Yep. Mhm.
Like, why does she think this is something that Dr. Pepper is going to be like, oh, that's awesome. This is baby steps. We're making progress.
You are a month into your marriage, and 20 minutes is the best you can do of talking to each other. Sad. And it paints the picture, right? It paints the picture even more that she's just so proud of this 20 minutes. Like, y'all don't spend any time together doing anything because you are this 20 minutes is your shining light.
Yeah.
And Dr. Pepper basically called him off like, okay, and like, what else?
Right.
And just the look on their faces of like,
oh, I didn't expect that one.
I thought we were gonna get a party for that, but I guess not. What else we got,
You're not
David?
gonna
Nothing.
clap
Nothing?
for
You got
us.
nothing?
They
You got nothing
really
else, David?
thought.
So
Really thought.
Dr. Pepper's like, look, my role here is not to critique, is to help. At like, y'all don't know each other that well to like have this much conflict, basically. And I know you all don't talk that much, but let's talk about your past. Let's talk about your past and your childhood growing up.
Because that's what I'm here for. That's what I was brought in this week for. I don't give a F what y'all talking about. I don't care nothing else about what you talk about. That was just an intro piece. Now let's get on to what I really want to talk about.
Blah blah blah. Childhood.
Go.
Yeah. So Dr. Pepper asked Michelle some of the challenging moments she had growing up with parents. Or no, she asked David about some of the challenging moments that he had growing up since his parents have been married so long. And he was like, well, he got pulled out of public school and into private school, and most of the kids were Caucasian, and he felt like an outcast. And so it was like he was put into this environment that he didn't know why he was placed there. And I don't think she knew that.
No, did you see the look on her face
Nope.
when he was like, I went to private school?
Private
She's like,
school?
she's like, what? You went to private school? Have you been hiding money from me or something? Like, what is like? I thought you were broke.
Her the whole that financial success or financial like just displays of finance have on her is just astounding to me.
It's wild.
Like my mom has told me plenty of times she grew up poor, and her the level of dedication of work I've seen her go through to be like financially literate has been amazing. And it's to the point where like she does things that she can afford to do, but the fact that she still knows where she came from and doesn't look down on other people is what like always like made me like love her. And to see Michelle just completely just crap on people as if she didn't know what it felt like to be in that situation is annoying. And it's like, girl, let's work on this. Let's go to some therapy, please, because we need to unpack this. We need to unpack this.
Dr. Pepper's trying, but she can't get it. It cannot. She needs intensive therapy, not a 20-minute talk with Dr. Pepper.
Right. It's astounding because it's just kind of like Michelle just has decided to take a completely different approach, because that is a saying, right? Like, don't ever forget like where you came from.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I actually want to forget it and shame anyone who is there.
I don't even want to see a poor person in any of my spaces.
We understand the trauma response of like not wanting to get back to that place.
Right.
Like that, we understand that, but it's how that manifests. And the fact that hers is manifesting in basically the judgment of other people who might not be as well off as, because David, from what we understand, is not poor. Like, let's be clear. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just people who don't have it like she assumes is just like projection. It's just off base. And it assigns like that whole thought process of if you're poor, you're bad. Like, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like she gives into that narrative when she, as somebody who came from that, should know that sometimes like that's what happens to people, and you have to work your way out of it. Like it's
She's,
wow, amazing to see on a
Yeah.
television show.
she's like, David gives poor and it makes me feel bad. So I don't want to be with him.
Yeah. So Dr. Pepper asked, like, okay, so tell us about growing up poor. And so she said her parents divorced when she was 3. She said they struggled a lot. She was embarrassed not to have the nicer things that the other kids had. And she does feel like it shaped her into who she is now. She doesn't want to go back to that struggle.
And that's and she's stuck in that childish mindset of
Mhm.
like I was upset that I didn't have what the other kids had, instead of like Mari's kind of like saying, like, being proud of what your parents were able to give to you, even at that level that they were at, and what they were able to work with what they had. She's like, no, that sucked. I hated it. I never want to go back there again. Like not even being able to appreciate her childhood for what it was, now that she has the perspective of a seemingly supposed to be grown-up person who is able to look back on things in a different light. She's still in that childhood thing of like, poor, yucky, bad, don't want to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's all about presentation too. It's all
Yes.
about the presentation of wealth. You know what I'm saying? It she talks about just having to just look like you have wealth. What does she do again for a living?
She's like an executive assistant, I think, is her thing.
Mm.
I
Which is
think
like,
she is
it's
that,
not like
yeah.
you're a doctor. Like, it's not like you're, I don't know, a tech CEO or like I don't know how much money she I assume she makes good money. Like, but she's not balling like Aysha, right? She's not in Asia, you know.
Now that's simple. That basic apartment she has.
Yeah.
MM is who she thinks she is.
Yes.
In her
Yeah.
head.
That's perfect.
That's exactly it. I was even gonna say Madison, but yeah, MM is a very good comparison.
Because Asia knows how much Madison makes. 'Cause they do the same thing. Madison is on Asia wealth level.
Madison is the only one I had looked up on LinkedIn, and now that helps.
You see a
but
peer,
anyway.
a compatriot in Madison.
Right.
Oh my God. Okay. I hope she's not an executive assistant, because I just typed in executive assistant Chicago salary.
Not good enough for Mari. Definitely not good enough for Asia.
No, I don't care how much money anybody makes. It's not good enough for her to have that attitude, if that's what it is.
Right. So Dr. Pepper asked her, like, what does she want at this point? What does she want to learn about David? And she was like, okay.
Really? Real talk?
Nothing.
Like, she's like, let's just put it out there, okay? I feel like he is 10 years behind me. I feel like there's immaturity, and I feel like he's further behind lifestyle wise. And I just can see the anger in David's face. Like, I cannot believe she feels this way, for one, and is voicing it for 2, and that she like literally is looking down on me this much to be able to just blatantly say it like this.
You are 10 years behind
10
me.
years behind her.
A decade behind me you are.
And her, again, equating immaturity to wealth and status, or job status, again goes to show, like, immature, nothing that David has shown has been immature, like in a sense of like maybe a little bit of cursing, if people find cursing immature. I probably don't, but like from what we've been shown on the show, people are different, we don't know these people, but like the emotional intelligence that he has shown has been pretty well on the show, and it's definitely, you can see it's reflective of somebody who's grown up with parents who have been together for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see that. Like, I don't see him like doing fart jokes every 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you can look at Alan and how Alan talks and say that's a little bit of an immature way of talking, with all the
demeanor.
sex jokes,
Yes, way of
and all this
talking.
stuff. Yes. But we don't really see David doing that. I see David as kind of having this kind of youthful way about him, but I wouldn't say immature. Like,
Exactly.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
I completely agree with that. Like, there's and I don't think Michelle knows the difference between youthful and immature.
Not at all.
Michelle thinks he is unserious. Like, that's That's her perception of David, because he doesn't have the high paying job, he doesn't have a high power job or whatever. He's still
He
working
doesn't
on
own
it.
a house. He
Yeah,
doesn't.
so she looks at him as an unserious, immature person, where really, no, he doesn't have all those things, but he is working towards those things. And just
Mhm.
because he has like a brighter like perspective, I
Position.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
is really kind of bothering her, because she is
Yeah.
this kind of serious, stick up her ass kind of demeanor about her, and
Yeah.
that upsets her about him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dr. Pepper says she has created this frame of immaturity that she needs to get rid of. She's
Yep.
like, well, what if I can't get there? Then you're immature.
Yeah.
So
She's like, what if I don't believe it? Like,
yeah.
what if I don't believe you can do those things? Like, damn, like she's just kicking dirt on this man anytime she can.
So David is like, so if he's like, if I do get this promotion, like I'm gonna be making the same amount as you. And she's like,
dagger.
well, how far off are you from getting a 2 flat in the city?
What even is that?
Let me Google.
Is that
I
like
mean,
a
flat-
condo?
flat,
Like a
usually I hear
two-bedroom?
people like
She
in,
say 2-bedroom flat. Yeah. Why did I put in 2-bedroom apartment in Chicago? Like everybody had the same
they're
thought.
listening. They're
So
listening.
it's not me, because yeah.
The internet is listening. The computer's listening to you. But she said 2 flat. Like usually people like overseas talk about flats.
Yeah, it
as
says
apartments.
it says Chicago 2 flats for sale. What does that even mean?
Yeah, what is it?
Does that mean 2-bedroom?
Is that an actual, like, is that like a certain
Right, like what is a 2
brand?
flat? What is a 2 flat in Chicago? 2 flats make up more than 30% of the city. They're typically a 2-story with an apartment unit on each floor, usually with bay windows greeting the street through of a facade of brick or gray stone.
Okay.
She was like, how close are you getting a 2
So
flat in Chicago?
how much is that normally?
What I'm seeing right now is about 600,000, 500,000.
He's just like, that all? I get 3 of
No,
those tomorrow.
600,000.
Yeah, 585.
You said it's 2 levels,
600,000.
but 2 bedrooms.
This is a new construction
you wanna
2
buy
flat. It's building ready to move in. It's 600,000, 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
Okay.
She's like,
'Cause
how
I'm
close are you
comparing it
getting
to
that?
my house, and I'm just kind of like,
If I was
that's a
David,
lot of money.
I was there, I'm like, how close are you, girl?
All right.
Right.
You're renting an
I
apartment
think
right now.
it's
You
kind of
said
like
we'll make the same amount if he
Right.
gets that.
And I think that's her issue. Like for her, that was another check in her mind of why she feels like this is a bad thing, because she wants him to be making so much more than her.
Yeah, I think
Then she
Michelle's
should have told
end
the
goal.
experts that.
I think that Michelle's end goal might be to be like a housewife. Like I can,
Mhm.
I need a man that's gonna be able to provide for me, because like she talked to Dr. P the other episode, was like, he talked also about providing for me, but I don't think he can. So I don't know what Michelle's end goal is, but it might be to, I don't know, find someone that can provide her with those things financially.
Yeah.
This is
So
very interesting.
he does say he's about a year or 2 from being able to get a 2 flat in the city. And Dr. Pepper's like, look, you can't solve all these things by yourself. She's like, how are y'all feeling now? And Michelle's like, oh, I think this is the best expert session we've had. Like, I have doubts, and I know I can't snap my fingers and like get rid of the doubts. So that's it.
So it's like a fancy townhome, I guess. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
Mari's
But
on
it
Zillow.
could be
Mari's on Zillow right now.
I
Look at
am. Once you buy a house, we be on Zillow just looking like.
Yep, for sure.
Same.
I love it.
Same.
It's so fun.
So Michelle does meet up with her friend Lissy.
Her friend / stylist. She
her
has
friend / stylist. All of the people that Michelle goes to for services are also her friends.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, another service person / friend. Michelle don't have friends, y'all. Michelle don't have real regular friends.
No, because either them or her sisters.
Michelle.
Because we saw that one friend.
That should tell you a lot.
There was that
Mhm.
one friend. She was like, how long? We've known each other for what, like 6 years? Something. Her friend's like, oh no, 9. It was like an old coworker.
That she
Like,
probably that she
oh,
probably hasn't talked to you in
you
that time.
just
She's like,
plucked her out of your
yeah,
phone book and
exactly.
said, come on, I need a friend at this housewarming. So she says she's been talking ish about his looks, and she called out like she talks about like his anniversary date outfit. She's like, he wore jeans and like like a shirt. And she's like, he has distressed jorts, he always wears tank tops. So they're at a shop so that they can improve David's look. He gets there, they're like, okay, what color do you look in? He's like, I can look good in any color, I can make anything look good. So they get him a few pieces. He starts putting stuff on. She's like, oh, I like this. He put something else on. He put on like a green flannel, and she's like, oh, that's something you wouldn't wear, and it also makes you look slim. He said, you think I'm fat? He's like, oh, I'm just kidding. And so then he put on like a long blue sleeve with a blue jean jacket and jeans, and it was denim on denim. And she's like, see, that's something I feel like Drake or Travis Kelce would wear. They would wear denim on denim. He's like, you find them attractive? She's like, yes, I do find them attractive. It's like, okay.
Is it just me, or is this so basic?
Is she Taylor Swift? And yes, basic.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, a flannel and then a denim outfit. Like, this is your version of this total change of style for him. Like, this is nothing. Like, this is your level of style. Like, I'm no fashionista. I have a rotation of like 5 shirts. You've all seen them. Okay. Like, this is what I wear. I am not a fashionista. But like, for her to be like, that flannel, that's it right there. Like, a flannel, that's it. Like, that's your version of upgrading him so big. Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
I always throw on a flannel when I'm not trying to scare them folk away. I'm like, I'm gonna be around them folk. Let me put this flannel on so they know they know I'm good.
But like, when she said Drake and Travis Kelce, I was like, that's your level of like,
that's our baseline.
But he's not far. He is like them combined. Like, he's as big as Travis Kelce is, and as light as Drake is. Like, you're asking for the guy who's standing in front of you, man.
Yeah, that's what you asked for, and they gave it to you.
He's like, okay, I'm okay. I don't know, but I want that guy, but in different clothes, but doesn't live with his parents, has a different job.
And so it was like, and then she put him in the denim on denim, and I'm like, that's your style. That's what you love. Like, so I remember a couple episodes ago, she had on a whole denim outfit, and I was like, this is right. This is your thing. So she tried to dress him like her. It was so weird and bizarre. I was like, get out of here with you.
He does end up putting on a blazer, and she's like, oh, this is the most like elevated look you've had since the wedding. And so he ends up buying the denim jacket, and she tells him like, these are really good going out outfits, as if he needs to be told. And we get a confessional from him saying like, sometimes you have to make changes in a marriage. And so when he tells her he's buying the denim jacket, she's like, you're not just doing this because I want to. He's like, F no. And he's like,
which caused him all to laugh because you cuss too much.
He's like, sorry.
I just have to wonder if she's like, oh, I guess he couldn't afford all the outfits, so he's not gonna buy one, huh? I wonder if she like, she had some kind of slight dig for him, like to her friend, maybe like,
right,
just could afford everything.
She's like, I just need him to buy a whole new wardrobe.
You could tell that like some of the stuff he's like, yeah, it's okay. Like, yeah, I do want to. I mean, he does wear a lot of gym stuff, so I do want to see what his other style is too. But I also wonder if they can't wear certain things on camera.
Well, I'm sure you can't wear logos and stuff.
Yeah, okay, it's just the logos. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but like, that fit that he had on for the dinner they had the episode before, I was like, that's not very far off from what you're putting him in right now. Like,
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. She's very picky. She's very, very, very picky.
Yes.
But you can't do that in this show. Like,
because the reason why I said I was kind of wondering if he dresses more like urban, and she's like,
I think what we see David in is what he's kind of comfortable in.
What he's normally in, yeah.
That's why he's such a good match for Madison, because they both love athleisure. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, Madison on Allen, and all she's wearing are these tank tops. That was funny.
Right.
A
Um, so that
few episodes ago.
yes. So
Yeah.
that's all we had for them this episode. We did get some interesting stuff on the next time on. We saw that this is going to be the reveal of the text message, where he says something about, "Oh, I just wanted to do something to you, not drink you. I want to do the other thing."
Oh my gosh. Sheesh. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get into all that next week.
Yeah, so because she says, I got an interesting text last night, and she feels like he accidentally texted her. And then we do get her confronting him about it. And she's like, married people don't sext other women. He's like, I wasn't sexting. And she's like, for the record, you're lying.
Yep, she was like, finally, yes.
Yeah, it's finally something I can be mad at, and then I cannot
Yeah.
forgive him for that. And then that's the reason we
Like
can.
they can't be mad at me for
she's
being mad
excited.
about this. Like they're not going to be mad at me for being mad about this. This is
Right.
fantastic.
Oh, she's not forget any she's not gonna
happy
mention
again.
him living with his parents anymore. She's not
Nope.
gonna mention his wardrobe anymore. It's gonna be all that. And
She'll
she
be like, I
can't
can't
trust
wait.
him.
She said, I can't wait for the next Esper visit. He'll be on the hot seat, not me.
He's like, how can I be with him if I can't trust him? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's she found her meal ticket to a divorce.
Yeah, she finally found that victim card she was looking for.
So ones across the board, obviously.
Obvi. All right, let's go. Let's get our bright light in here. Thomas and Camille. So we pretty much come right into, because we didn't see them until about the 45 minutes of the episode. And they get their Dr. Pepper visit. Dr. Pepper says, "Oh, wow, Thomas, you look very nice. You must be coming straight from work." He's like, he's decked out in his 3-piece suit. He's like, "Yeah, I just got here from work." She says, "I noticed the earrings as well." He's like, "Oh yeah. Camille got me these. I really like them. So they make me." He says, "They make me feel a little younger." Dr. Pepper says, "Thomas, I really feel like you're someone that was really all about the marriage, and I'm all about pleasing your wife. So it's really like a really good thing to see out of you." And she says, I'm here to get in touch with the more of the long range of your life. And this, since Thomas and Camille don't really have any issues, she gets right into the background. She's like, "So tell me about your childhoods and your backgrounds." Tom starts out with everything he talks about is his dad. His dad. We've heard so much about Thomas's dad. And he says, my dad was kind of the protector and leader of the family. And he really taught me about learning from my mistakes and accountability. He relays a story about how, when he was a sophomore in college, he was a student athlete, and he had partied so much, that he ended up losing his eligibility for sports. And his dad really helped him, see that he has to learn from that mistake. And Tom says how hard it's been since his father has passed away to not have him in those low moments, to really help remind him of those lessons that he taught. Tom gets really emotional. He starts crying. We see Camille kind of putting the hand on the back, trying to kind of calm and soothe him. Camille says she appreciates that Thomas is someone that is so okay with being emotional and vulnerable. She hasn't really had that in a lot of her relationships. We get into Camille's past, and Camille talks about her struggle was with her parents separating. Her parents started the separation process when she was 10 years old, but did not get officially divorced until she was 17. It's like a 7-year back and forth of this separation to divorce. She says a lot of back and forth between the two parents. Dad was coming in, dad was coming out. And so Dr. Pepper says, did you ever look at it as kind of like your dad not just leaving your mom, but also leaving you too? Camille says, yeah, that really is kind of how it felt. She had to become, way more protective of her sister and her other siblings. And, Dr. Pepper says, a therapist would call that being a parentified child. For you and your sister, you kind of had to parent your siblings, and that really kind of gets Camille emotional. She starts crying. At first, I was like, "Tom, put your hand on her back, Tom."
Me too.
It took a minute, but he got there. I was like, "Okay, cool." Like he's comforting her, like she comforted him. Pepper says, "You did so much to take on other people's pain, it kind of stopped you from thinking about yourself." Pepper says, but the good thing is you both have a lot of love in your families, and it helps you to connect and relate. And Dr. Pepper does say, when both of you were getting emotional, you were there for each other to comfort each other, and that's like a really, really great thing to have. Thomas says it's good to see Camille get more emotional because he hasn't seen that a lot, and he does want to see her more vulnerable side. Camille does say it's tough for her to kind of show that side. She doesn't really show that a lot. Pepper says she's going to. Pepper's like, I trust you guys. You guys are here. You guys are at the moment. Write your younger selves a letter. I'm not giving anybody else. I'm not giving anybody else this assignment. No one else has earned it, but you. Write your younger selves a letter.
I heard that and I said, oh.
Yes.
Felt like I had homework.
Yeah, just hearing it felt like homework. She says, write your younger selves a letter from the perspective of a tough time in your lives. She says, you both had moments where you had to be strong and do not easy things, and now is the time to trust the other person to show them that vulnerable side about how you felt in those moments. We do get a segment that seems to be like right after the visit because Tom's still in his suit. They bring us into this moment. We don't see what's happening. We only hear, and they're like, "Oh yeah, do that some more. Oh yeah, touch that over there." And we just see
that was so funny.
It's just them folding clothes.
That was so good.
That was really good.
It seems to be Thomas teaching her how to fold clothes, which was interesting. And like that's the moments I love, right? Because it's a casual, almost candid moment. Yes, there are cameras here, but it seems like this would be happening if cameras weren't here. It was like a really fun kind of we're picking at each other about folding clothes. It was really a fun moment.
If this were David and Michelle, she'd be like, how do you know whose clothes are in the dryer since you share a washer and dryer with your parents?
Do you fold your own clothes, or does your mom fold them for you and put them in your dresser?
Just mad to be mad.
Like your folding corners could be a little crisper. I'm just saying.
Right. This was so cute.
It really was.
It was so cute.
So they do start talking about the Dr. Pepper visit, how emotional it was. Thomas says again, he really likes to see her vulnerable side, and Camille's like, "Listen, I'm good for one cry a year, and that's all you get out of me."
I hit my quota.
She says, "I express my vulnerability in different ways other than crying." She talks about how she's a big compartmentalizer. Like when it comes to emotions, when she has emotions, she puts them in a box, and she doesn't really think about them. She says, it's really kind of a coping mechanism for her, and she has to get better at feeling her feelings, not pushing them aside. In a confessional, you get Thomas saying, he realizes that her vulnerability is not the same as his. It's about making a safe space for her and making sure she's working on her vulnerabilities. He lets her know that, the more work that we have on that part of you, the more it will help both of us to really kind of to get where we need to be. The next segment we get is Aysha's favorite part, reading of the letters. But again, like we come into it, and Thomas has like made her drink, and she's trying to drink, and she's like, ooh, I kind of felt it, right here. And it's just like another like really fun moment. They have like this fun banter about like where they're going to sit. I was like, see, this tells you how good they are together because it's just this little moments. So Camille reads her letter. She says, this is from 10-year-old me. She talks about how things are, she tells her things are tough right now, but you will definitely become stronger. Your family needs you to be positive, and you do that for them, but it will help you later in life. She talks about how her past loves will not work out, but she'll learn a lot from them. And she says, get this, you're going to marry a stranger, and all the challenges that come with that will be worth it in the end and lead to love. And I was like, oh, you saying the L word? You saying the love word? Like I don't think she means it in that way, but okay, cool. She after she reads the letter, she tells Thomas like she has a lot of things about her past were tough, but they just shape her to be who she is. She talks about how she used to be shy, but in a roundabout way, her parents' divorce really kind of helped her come out of her shell. It was weirdly what she needed in order to help her do that. Thomas starts his letters. His letter is to his self in his early 20s. It says, younger self, you're a very optimistic person. You have a big heart. He says you will have a lot of relationships where you think you have found love, but it's just practice until you find your true love. And you will learn more about yourself and how that's going to shape you and how you will love and embrace yourself, and will help you overcome obstacles. Tom talks about how his younger self wasn't ready for some of the obstacles he would face later in life. He didn't always handle it the best, and he wants to make his younger self aware that there are better ways to handle certain things. So we get done with the letters. Tom asks her what she knows that she wished. What did she wish she knew back then? Camille says, there was so much sadness and uncertainty. She wishes that she knew that it would be okay. Tom says, are there any triggers from your childhood that we should manage together, to do so I know what minefield not to step into, basically. Camille's like, yeah, I've had a lot of issues with trusting men, because a lot of men I've dated only do things for show, and after a certain point those things stop happening. She says, from time to time I am going to need some assurances from you. She says, but I feel like you have done all you can to show up as yourself, and it's been really good. She says, but there is always a little voice in the back of her head with some doubts. Tom does promise her to always present himself as his true self. Not a whole lot to analyze with this.
No.
And
other than they both wrote a letter to themselves 20 years ago.
Yes, because Tom was in his 20s and Camille's what she was said. That's a good one. That's good.
Yeah, they're doing the process the way that it should be done. They had their initial, or she had her initial reservations because of her typical type, and just kind of learning him and seeing, and eventually getting to the point where it's like, wait, no, this is the type of person that I need. And I like you said, all these simple moments that we're getting with them, I really enjoy them, because they're just showing us that they genuinely do like each other. It's not just for the exercises and not just for the sit downs with the experts. They're actually experiencing each other.
Yeah, their relationship feels lived in, right? It feels like they've been doing these things even when the cameras aren't here. So when they do have these moments, it feels very natural. It feels like they do this all the time. So that's they are our shining couple for a reason. They've really come into this being open, not feeling ashamed or hesitant to open up to one another, because they really feel that type of bond to each other. Whereas our other couples don't feel any type of bond to each other, so they don't want to talk about their inner beings or their vulnerabilities, which is why
they're what is a bond?
Which is why they didn't get this activity to talk about your vulnerabilities from a younger self, because we're not on that level yet for these other people.
Nowhere near it.
So it's really good to see success in this season.
Yeah,
especially since we haven't had it. This is our first success in 2 seasons, so to see that is really good.
That is so sad.
That is very sad.
So we are Thomas and Camille, don't mess us up.
Don't do nothing crazy. Don't do nothing crazy, Thomas.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, I can't even remember if we got anything from the next time on for them. Oh, he meets
he's meeting her family. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, again, just they're so advanced. They're at that level.
Yeah. So last and least,
very much so.
So we get her waking up by herself, because as you know, he moved out last night. So she says she's tried to call him, he hasn't answered. He said he needed to space. He said he needed space. She gave him space, and then she became the a-hole. She says, it sucks because she came in this for marriage, but she is going to continue to utilize the experts. So he is walking up, and I'm like, oh, please be Pastor Cal. Please be Pastor Cal. It is Pastor Cal. He shows up to talk to Pastor Cal. We get a confessional from Pastor Cal's something's not adding up with Ikechi's behavior around the 1-month anniversary. He is self-sabotaging. So Pastor Cal's look, I want you to be straight up, man to man. What's going on? He said, I'm just not comfortable in my space. I didn't feel, he said he didn't feel like he was coming home to his wife, is his feeling when he was coming home.
And he switched out the beanie for some other worn out hat. So I was like, at least we don't have the beanie anymore.
Right.
And he came in with that disinterested affect that he puts on. I'm just it's just so terrible. It's ugh. He I don't care about none of this.
He's like, he's like, how can I appear like I am above this all?
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
This is
Yep.
nothing to me. Yeah.
Right. Mr.
Even though
Second
you
time applying.
exactly. There you go. I was like, you
Just
begged to be
just
here.
chasing the mass production around the country, but yet
Right.
you don't care. Okay.
Got it. And so he said that she tried to initiate sex when they came home from the honeymoon, and he feels like she just wanted a husband, no matter who it was. And Pastor Cal's like, well, like, and
Yeah.
Like,
and
if she
he's like, no,
signed up for a husband on a show where you sign up for a husband and
and you
she
don't know who
actually
it's going
wants
to be.
one.
Yeah.
Whew. Wow,
Imagine
what a
that.
concept.
Right. And Ikechi's like, he- he's like, no. This is how I feel. Like, he cuts Pastor Cal off and completely interrupts him. Like, no, this is how I feel. 2 days into the honeymoon, hey, come in the shower with me. And Pastor Cal's looking like, that's not a bad thing.
That's kind of like, really? Like, can you? Like, do we had footage of that? Like, anybody out there? Production? We didn't have cameras for that moment. Production? Like, what are we doing? Pascal's like, and did you do it? Did you go?
Right.
No.
And you didn't go? Why didn't you go? I
So
know.
based on
And
Pastor
the
Cal's,
crazy thing,
go
and
ahead.
I'm sorry, and what pisses me off even more is he had said that to her episodes ago, and she said no. She's like, I feel comfortable with you. Like,
yes,
that's
she was
what
doing
pisses
that
me off
because of
too.
meeting him, and now she
Who
feels
he was
comfortable with
presenting.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, she found him like, to be acceptable.
It's almost like he's like, I can't believe she likes me. She
Right.
she doesn't know what an asshole I am. So it's like,
Well, and
She
it's
like
because on the
me.
honeymoon, he was presenting this like to the other couples. He's like, I
Yep.
can't wait to duck off with my wife. Like, sir, what does that? What are you supposed to imply out of that? Like, what? Like, obviously, you are implying that you
I
want to
can't
be
wait to.
intimate. Like,
I can't wait to duck off so we could go read.
yeah, right. So we can open up to each other and about our traumas and vulnerabilities. No, you're talking about ducking off on the balcony, doing balcony stuff. Like,
he sure did. Oh
what,
my god.
sir?
Yeah,
Like,
he makes you forget that.
yeah. He acts like he never did that stuff, and he still has not been held to account for that. To be like, so why did you do this thing? Why did you put her hand in your crotch? So what is she supposed to assume from that? No one has said that to him, and I want someone to hold his feet to the fire in that regard. No one has
Did
done
he
it
ever?
yet.
Yeah. Has he ever said, like,
No,
confirmed
because
that he did that?
she said MM said to Pia when they met with Pia,
Yeah, right.
and nothing was said about that. Pia didn't
He
go,
didn't say no.
okay,
I
Ike.
didn't.
Right. She didn't say, okay, Ike, so what is that about? No one said that. So I'm wondering if it was on the cutting room floor, or are we saving it for the reunion? I hope someone at some point
Okay.
brings them
So
to ask for that.
I actually have that in my notes, right? Because I'm like, wow, I really, really hope that they have the camera footage of all this stuff, because he's saying she's doing all this stuff. I want to see the camera footage. But after this episode, I'm starting to realize, and it kind of goes to what you said last week, Jason. I don't know if they'll have the camera footage because he's overblowing the stuff that he's saying is happening, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't think they have camera footage of like her coming on to him, or I don't think they have the camera footage of him putting her hand in his crotch or whatever. I don't think they have that. I'm taking MM's word for it because she seems to be a more reputable source of information.
And she's open about it. She's
Yeah,
open
she's
about
very
the things that
open.
she's done. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's like, I was trying to initiate sex because I thought that's where we were.
Yeah, and we literally saw him all up on her when they had the whole group meeting when they got to the resort. They were hugged up on each other. So much so that the other couples talked about it. Like, ooh, I wish we were at where y'all are at, because y'all are all over each other. So
yeah,
like, you can't tell me that you've been out at the level you are all the time. Because now he talks about, I don't know you. You definitely didn't know her when you were all hugged up on her at the honeymoon.
And
So
about
what
the
are you talking
and at the
about?
altar too. Like,
Yeah.
So it gets even more absurd. So Pastor Cal had made that face about the comment of her saying, like, oh, get in the shower with me, where Pastor Cal's like basically saying, okay, what's your problem with that? And he's like, it doesn't seem like much, but I don't know you. A week into the honeymoon, would you move with me after this is over? Who asked someone to move in with someone they just met last week?
And of course he's blowing this out of proportion, right? Like,
well, no, there's no proportion to blow it out of. You just got married. She's future planning because she's not banking on your demise. And you're thinking it's absurd for her to think, okay, if we were to decide to stay married, what is our plan for after that?
But in Ike's version, she didn't say the if we work out. In Ike's version, she is literally asking him to move in with her, like when they get back from the honeymoon. Like, will you move in with me?
He said after this is over.
Maybe, yes. I think, and I think so I think MM, right? MM is the most open to this experience I think I've seen anyone be. Because she coming into this was before she even met him. It was my man.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants that. Yeah.
She wants it. She is very she's very open to the experience. She's very open to compromise. She's open to whoever is being presented to her. Yes, that's true. And we all know Ike's problem, right? Ike's problem is his fragile masculinity, his fragile ego. He wants a certain type of woman that MM is not. So when he realized that, and he talks about the fact that, because Pastor Cal asked him, like, when did everything change? He says, after we got back from the honeymoons, which AKA is when I saw her apartment. Like when I saw she had more than me. When I saw she is balling, she is a boss, which is when the switch happened for Ike.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you that they need to really start asking a little bit of different questions in MAFS here, because this shows you two people's thought process going into an experiment like this. You know what I'm saying? Like MM and people who are serious about married at first sight, they go into this as in like, this, we are getting married. Married is for life. Marriage means you make it work.
Yep.
F this whole 8-week experiment. I think we talked about this. You guys probably talked about it last season or the season before. But it's like she was looking at it beyond the 8 weeks. She's looking at this like a marriage. Him and a lot of the guys I feel like that come on the show think about it like, oh, we're getting married, but we're still dating. No, you are married. You are married. This is not a test run. This is not the ultimatum. Like he came in here thinking like, okay, we're getting married, and then we have 8 weeks to decide if we want to stay together. Yeah, and that's what some people come into this thinking, but that's not what she came into this thinking. That maybe they should have thought about that when they paired them together.
Yeah,
or they needed to start casting people who see this as a marriage and want to work at it towards a marriage as opposed to a trial run.
I say it all the time. The 8-week timeline is an arbitrary timeline that the show made up.
Yes.
Like it's not as if you are coming in as unmarried people and we're like, in 8 weeks, you have to decide whether you are getting married or not. You are married. It's already done. So the 8 weeks means nothing. Take 6 months, take 3 months. Yes, at 8 weeks, you have to give the show a decision. Say yes and keep going. Like this isn't the 8 weeks isn't deciding anything. It's just a checkpoint. So
yeah, it's just you deciding when filming stops.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. and it don't even stop then. Like, you still got 3 more weeks. So, but yeah, and like you said, Mari, like people like Ike and people like other people we've seen come into this like, oh, looking at their watch, like when is the 8 weeks over? Like this and that. But like I said, MM is the most open to this experiment I think I've really seen, because she's down. She is down for this no matter what, no matter who they put in front of her, because like she said, it's not about being anybody. I met you from what I saw of you. I liked you. I can hang with you. I'm ready to do more. If you came in this and were an asshole, if you were a Brennan, if you were a, I put in my in the Facebook group this week, I put in a lot of people did their rankings of the worst husbands. If I was faced with any of those worst husbands, it would be a no. But listen, Ike's on that list and she's still saying yes. So who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, let's continue this Pastor Cal conversation.
Sorry for the rant.
And so Pastor Cal's like, we encourage that. We encourage you to talk about what you're going to do after the experiment, because I want you to start with this idea of this thinking that this is the long haul. Like you're going to be in this for the long haul. He said, our most successful couples are the ones that say, I don't care who I'm marrying. We are going to be together forever. And he's like, okay, I agree, but I got to like you to move in with you. And Pastor Cal's like, okay, well, what don't you like? He's like, her attitude and her personality.
Ugh.
Yes, vomit. And so he says, he's like, she makes me feel small or that I don't have enough. And he's like, I feel like I'm an extra in this dream of hers. And
It's
then he says,
frame it. It's right there. That's the whole issue. She doesn't make you feel small. You or your
you,
perceptions are feeling small, but
Mhm.
compared to what she is, it's like, oh, like it's right
yes.
there. It's out in the open.
Insecurity.
Yeah.
And so he says, on top of that, he feels belittled. He doesn't see love, friendship, or respect. Uh, and he said, so but he says like she has disrespected him. And Pastor Cal's like, and no, he says, I have not disrespected her once. Pastor Cal said, hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at my notes that they
The
read to
intel we
me.
get, because we get intel,
Because we get intel. Did you call her an asshole? And he says, if you act like an asshole, that's what you get called.
Oh.
And so it's this is the part here, right? Like, I don't know, did y'all hear about that Nick Cannon interview a few months ago? And he was talking, he did that interview with that doctor, that online doctor, that she does the interview with the male celebrities, the male celebrities, and it'd be going viral. I forget her name. Dr. Joy? I don't know.
Did she do it with
But
Cam Newton? I feel like I saw something about Cam Newton.
yes. She did one with Cam Newton, and she did one with Nick Cannon, and they both had clips that went viral. Nick Cannon was talking about, like, she was like, well, what happened with Mariah? And he talked about like how him and Mariah were together. He's like, the reason we got divorced had nothing to do with Mariah. He was like, Mariah made me feel loved. She supported me. She made me feel special, but it's Mariah Carey. He was like, she is just on a whole nother stratosphere. And he's like, and he said these exact same words that KG said. He's like, I just came to fit into her life. I was, holding the bags. I was doing this, and that. There was nothing that I could bring to the table for her. And even though she did not treat me like that, even though she gave me the love that I needed, for me, it just didn't work. And I couldn't do that. So I stepped away. And
Kechi even had an ounce of that self-awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
He would be so much better.
It's like,
yeah.
I was about to say, not us giving props to Nick Cannon, but that is a level of self-awareness that you need to understand why a relationship was the way it was.
Exactly. And he does have that level of self-awareness, but then Dr. Joy says, well, that we understand that now, because as to how your leanings is how now you date nothing but women who depend on you financially.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when he started getting defensive in that interview. So if you want to go you go look. But that's exactly what it is, because we've seen it since the honeymoon. Has talked about how this has been a major theme in relationships with, like, men can feel intimidated by what she has. So we've actively seen her try and not do that. We actively try to see her do that, especially on the honeymoon when she thought everything was all good. She talked about how she was actively trying to do that. And it's just kind of like, now that he's given this fake attitude, and y'all did a good job of talking about, like, the little snipes. They talked about it this episode. We'll talk about that. But it was just like, to me is not doing these things that he's saying. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we will never see her yelling or belittling him, because it's those small comments that he's blowing up, and it's hitting his ego so hard. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, sir, yes, go get you a dumb lady who wants to live off of you. Just go do that, because you're not man enough for this relationship, clearly.
So Pastor Cal, so he says that to Pastor Cal, like, that's what you get called. And then he said, so yes, I have been disrespectful. And then Pastor Cal said, okay. Also,
that's not all. That's not all.
In front of the group, you said your wife is making you feel like shit. And he says, he's like, okay, yes, I did say that. He said the more he sees the real her. He feels like with her, there there, well, no, Pastor Cal said there is a sensitive side to her. Have you seen it? And he's like, I've seen pieces. And
Well, yeah,
so
also says yes, she may be overly ambitious. Like, but that's like basically what Cal's like. That's not a bad thing. Like, it's like
yes.
it's
So Pastor Cal's like, is there latitude for a reboot? He's like, perhaps. Pastor Cal said, okay, this y'all meeting up is for resolution, but also education, because you need to know her perception about how you're coming across and vice versa. And he's like, I'm seeing some emotion behind your face. I can tell you care because I see some emotion behind your face. He's like, this is allergies. Pastor Cal said, BS.
Mhm.
And so then Pastor Cal's like reiterating, like, okay, the benefit of them conversing. And she's like, yes, Pastor. Pastor Cal said, don't gaslight me.
Mm.
Like, don't. He's like, no, I'm being serious. And so he said, okay. And Pastor Ikechi was like, it's just easier to have this conversation with you.
another man, another brother.
Right.
It's so interesting because he does this okay pastor thing. I don't even think he realizes he does it because he's using that disinterested affect again. And
Yeah.
Pastor Kyle's like, all right, like, come on, don't BS me. And it's interesting because I don't even think he realizes he does it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also get to a moment where we have an issue like with MM with that.
Yes.
It's so interesting they both do these things, which I
Mhm.
think is a big sticking point in this relationship about
Yes.
how they interact and how they talk with each other, which is like a big warning sign of why they shouldn't have been matched. But we'll
Right.
talk about it when we get to those instances. So interesting.
So MM meets up with Dr. Pia. And Dr. Pia went ahead and got her a chai tea latte because she remembered last time that's what she had. I was like, that's so sweet. So I was like, if someone did that for me, I would hope they know that I want oat milk.
Right.
This is an apology chai latte for pairing up with this
Everything I'm
person.
putting you.
Yeah. Then Dr. Pia goes, I need you to keep it all the way. Okay. If we had a multiple choice option, I don't think you would ever guess what she said. But I was thinking, keep it all the way real with me, keep it all the way 100. She said, I need you to keep it all the way funky with me.
I was like, oh, she in her auntie bag. Okay.
Yeah. She said, I get intel sometimes. So I'm wondering what you think is happening. And MM said, I just don't think he's ready for marriage. Like,
Ooh.
I've put forth a lot of effort since day one. He left and I've texted and I've called him and he's not answered. And Dr. P is like, well, have you seen him since the 1 month? She's like, no, but I definitely want to see my husband so that we can communicate. She's like, she's just concerned he'll be dismissive and nonchalant and just not interested in the marriage. Dr. Pia said, okay, why? Like, he's called you out of your name. He's done all this stuff. So why do you want to be with him?
The question we're all wondering.
Like, I hate to ask. And so MM's like, well, I just think there's a chance he hasn't realized that these are just defense mechanisms for him.
You poor, sweet, innocent MM.
Dr. P was like, that saying, you can catch more flies with honey. She's like, I want you to have this approach when y'all like meet up. She's like, well, I did call his suit ugly. She's like, I did.
In
so
your
I did
Joker
get petty.
suit.
Yeah. And so Dr. P was like, well, where do you think you were accountable for things taking a turn? And so she says, like, she initially was asking, she initially was the way she was asking questions, the housewarming, because sometimes the words that he says are fluff.
Ding, 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 ding. Man, the way MM is able to just really peg this guy for what he is so great, because she did it last episode too, when she talked about, he wants someone that's dumb, he wants someone that's this, that.
Yes.
The way that she can really just kind of hone in on his BS is really so great, which is just why I'm not really understanding why she is still trying with this.
I know. So she says, like, she said he called her aggressive. She's like, we don't know each other, so don't call me aggressive. And Dr. Pia was like, well, you're saying like my husband, but you're saying you don't know each other. And MM said, well, that's a fact. And Dr. Pia said, well, you just got a little spicy with me. She's like,
And-
what?
Yeah, and MM didn't realize it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, see, like y'all
Jason
kind of
needs to know it.
similar in this way. Like, because we talked about their interactions last episode. And like Dr. Pia said, she put some spice in some of the things that she was saying, which triggers Ike to do his stuff. So which he was already doing his stuff anyway, which is what triggered MM to give the spice. So they're constantly triggering each other, which is not really what you want. So I like how Pia kind of called her out on that a little bit, and MM seemingly didn't even realize that's what she was doing.
Yeah. So MM's like, okay, I'll receive that. And Dr. P is like, instead of leading with facts, lead with your feelings.
No, other way around. Don't lead with feelings, lead with facts.
Yeah. Instead of leading. No, say that again.
Instead of don't lead with feelings, lead with facts.
No, she was saying
that's the normal thing.
That's the normal. Dr. Pia said, don't lead
Mhm.
with facts. I want you to lead with your feelings because he's not ready to receive those facts. I watched it twice.
That's exactly what she said.
Because I said, did she just tell her to lead with her feelings?
Okay.
I rewound it.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I was confused too. I was like, why is she telling her this? She said, for example, she gives this example with her fiance and like just meeting him where he's at. So she wants MM to meet Ikechi where he's at because he needs time.
Because he's such a small man, he cannot meet you where he's at. So you're going to have to do a lot more of the work. It's basically kind of what she's saying here.
Yeah. So she's in her car. This is before they are meeting with the expert. She says she's ready to sit down with her husband. She wants to be supportive. She doesn't want him to feel attacked. Then we get, I guess, Ikechi's in some stairwell. He's just like, he's like, I might have done some wrong, but it was a reaction to the wrong that was done to me.
Oh my
God. I wouldn't have called you a name if you didn't call me a name first. He understands that there needs to be some level of resolution, but this ain't easy. Whoever told you marriage was going to be easy?
They lied to you.
Right. So then they have their sit down with Pastor Cal and Dr. Pia. MM comes in first. She gives them a hug. Pastor Cal said, "You look great, girl." That was funny. She's trying to come in. She says she's trying to come in with this open mind. Pastor Cal's like, let's see if we can rediscover value here. He gets there. Pastor Cal's like, what's up, Chi? I was like, did y'all hear that? He said it twice.
Oh my gosh.
He said, what's up, Chi? I was like, is he saying chief?
No,
sometimes people say that.
That's why, okay, but no, Chi, like Ikechi.
Ikechi, yeah.
Like you're on the wrong end of the name, Pastor Cal. You call him because I'm different. I want to be different.
Right. He comes in with that backpack once again.
That backpack and his stank attitude again.
Yep.
Like,
that's the last.
Like they told you to come in here with a positive attitude, and you still come in here with a stankness.
This is the last place he wants to be, and it's all over his face. Pastor Kyle's like, "How are you doing?" He says, "I'm good." And we get a confessional from MM saying like she needs him to say he's sorry, and if he puts forward zero effort, like she's done. So Dr. Pia asks for full transparency and honesty about through this, and she wants to know why do they have such different perspectives on the same reality. And so Pastor Kyle's like, when did it start? She's like, the honeymoon or the housewarming when he called me aggressive. He was like, well, her cousin asked me 5 words to describe her, and aggressive was one of them. And he's like, and then when we sat down with Dr. Pia, that's when he brought up the unwanted sexual advances. And she was like, I took that as like, okay, back up. And like, you're doing too much. And he's like, I just wasn't comfortable having sex just yet. I didn't feel, this is the first time he has said this in this way. He's like, I didn't feel comfortable having sex just yet because we get to the end of this and it doesn't work out. Then, then we had already went there. And he's like, I was trying to protect the sanity of the relationship. And Dr. P was like, well, did you tell her that? And he's like, no.
Nope. So he's like, nope. As if it was not like as if it was not a problem. Like, nope, sure did.
Right. Pastor Kyle's like, look, we've been doing this for 18 seasons. And when people pump the brakes and can try to control the pace, it does not work because this is not a traditional marriage. Dr. P is like, okay, like Dr. P is like, look, he's not saying go ahead and have sex. Patrick Carroll was like, no,
That's
this
like,
is not about sex.
That's
This
like,
Never.
new girl. No,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm saying. First night, you should be. That's the only
no.
way. That's the only
My
way
God.
you're gonna really find out if you're right for each other. If you take it there, if you take it there early. That's what I'm saying. All right, new girl, you go round ahead. Go back. I had to correct the new girl because she's new here. She don't know what she's talking about.
So Ikechi says he came in wanting to get to know someone, and there's more than one way to get to know somebody than just asking them all these questions. He said, like, he even asked her to go on a date to go see live music, and it led to all these questions. And MM's like, I had questions.
I put the picture in my mind of them being like some club and there's live music and this live music. And it was like, so what is your vision of what you like talking over the music? So what does your vision of marriage look like?
But the funny thing is, I think she had questions about about what they were watching. Like, so what is that percussion instrument?
Is this person on Spotify? Can I download their music?
It could have easily been like, hey, we're gonna go see this artist on Thursday night, and she's like, oh, okay, like, is this an artist like you grew up listening to? Like, is this somebody like you love, you big fan? He's
how did you hear
the questions? Why can't we just go experience it and you guess? And so Pastor Cal said he leads with his heart. She leads with reasoning. He said, your art. And Ikechi's like, yes, finally someone is seeing me.
Ikechi's like, oh yes, we described as art. That's all I want in my life because I'm so artistic. Oh my God.
Did you have a book, Pastor Cal?
I'm like you, Pastor Cal. We're both authors.
Right. When you're doing your next book signing, I'll come and we can do mine alongside of you. Pastor Cal tells him he's art and he said she's science. And so Pastor Cal is like, he needs what Ikechi is trying to say is he needs her to experience more of him. And Dr. Pia said, like, okay, is it possible moving forward to have like more explicit conversations? Like, can y'all commit to that? And MM can commit to it, but he's saying he needs a bit of understanding. He wants a desire he wants a desire from her to see things through his eyes. Like, after a long day at work, like, what about how are you? Like, how was your day? She's like, okay, like it's hard for me to not just, ask questions. So I need maybe like a cheat code, like some help.
He's like, you asked me how my day was. And that's it. No more questions.
If I say fine, leave it be.
That's the only question you get to ask. We're just like you guys need to have explicit conversation. He doesn't want conversation. No. He said that already. Like, so I don't know why y'all are saying that.
It's like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's where said, look, y'all are not asking for a lot. Dr. P is like, I don't see how this is going. She's like, Dr. P said, hey, actually, one more thing. I don't see how this is going to work if y'all don't move back in together. And then just almost immediately, MM's like, will you move back in with me? And he's like, I'll move back in with you.
This was so pitiful because I was like, MM, why are you
why are we still here?
This? Like, why
I don't even think his stuff is gonna make it out the car. I think he's gonna come over with like an overnight bag. He's gonna come up, it's gonna lead to some type of disagreement, and then he's gonna be like, actually, I'm not moving back in.
Like, just for MM to be the one to have to ask. And then he give this, like, again, this interesting answer of like, yeah, I guess, like, not even excited at all to even try to get back on the right page. He's just like, yeah, if I have to.
Yeah.
And then cut to the confessional.
Oh,
like, I don't even want to go.
Yeah. He's like,
you don't say what you mean. And then you ask why she keeps asking you, are you sure that's what you mean? Because you don't say what you mean.
Exactly. He said, we got a confessional. Yeah. In that confessional, he goes, I would be lying if I said I was excited to move back in, but I'm willing to take steps, but I'm leery.
That was the biggest, like, F you to this whole thing.
Yes.
Of having a possibly positive conversation of hopefully getting back on the right track. And then he just throwing cold water on the whole thing of like, yeah, I honestly don't want to do this. I honestly don't want to move back in, but mom and dad made me, so I have to do it. Like,
Yep.
Oh, God. Give it a rest. Pull the plug.
So annoying. So that was it. That's all we got from them. We do get a next time he's gonna say like, oh, you jumping right back in or something like that.
Yeah, she says I'm trying to tiptoe in. I'm not trying to like rush right in. He's like, oh no, you jumping in like a bull or whatever. I was like, wow, this isn't gonna last one episode of any kind of positivity. We're just right back into the nonsense.
Yep,
ridiculous.
So easy
Get this
ones
man
for
off my
them.
TV screen, please.
Yeah.
Please,
easy ones. Thomas and Camille are all 5s, I think, because I don't think we did ratings for Thomas and Camille.
Yeah, all 5.
Yeah.
I wrote it in.
Yeah, we just assumed, but yeah, I just want to put it out there.
Yeah,
where someone's like, you didn't rate Thomas and Camille. 5s.
Easy 5s.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because I'm tired of this storyline, or like the sad part about this dynamic is that she has hope and he has none, and he's just stringing it along for the purposes of what?
And what I'm upset about is that we've seen this so many times, and for whatever reason, it always happens to the black ladies. I don't know why.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Paige, Lauren from last season, MM here. There's a bunch of other ones that
Alexis.
Alexis. Like so many of these women that are
Alexis and Justin. I think
that was a little different. Yeah.
I think you mean Jasmine.
Oh yes.
Jasmine.
Yep. Jasmine and because
Jasmina maybe, or that was a little bit on the other side.
No, that was they were
not
both
me with 2 bad examples.
Both,
they were both ended up in the wrong. Like at some point we were like Team Jasmina, and they were like, ooh, maybe Team Nobody. But
yes, and speaking of all of those other relationships, that's what kind of puts Ikechi up there with like the absolute worst of them, because like not only is he not saying what he means, stringing her along a little bit, but the active like character assassination that he's trying to do to her is it's so annoying. Like it's like Onion last season times 10, because even Onion, when he was, talking about the comment that she made about the red face comment or whatever, like he dragged it. But he was still in his way thinking he was being cordial, even though we all know he wasn't.
At least he had the decency to end it.
Like, yes.
Cut it. He did come back multiple times weirdly, but
very weird.
Yeah, he did cut it at a certain point.
Exactly. And then with like Jasmine and like Eris, we knew like Eris wasn't like attracted to her and all of that, but he still, and we all really disliked Eris, but at least Eris was not again like trying to make her out to be a horrible person. You know what I'm saying? He was just kind of like,
nor did he lead her on kind of like a Krista to a Page.
Yes.
So
so like I think that's why Ikechi is very much up there for me, like in the hate of it all. It's like he's doing all of the bad things a bad spouse can do, on top of trying to like it's even worse than Michelle, because even Michelle is trying to be like, I'm not the bad person. You know what I'm saying? Like Michelle is just trying to be like, I'm not the bad person. And then, Ikechi is trying to be like, she is the bad person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a victim. Like he's like, I only do wrong when wrong is done to me. No, sir. Like,
yeah, Michelle has self-awareness. Michelle has self-awareness that she is the bad guy here. Like I think a little bit,
but she's trying not to be. Yes,
right.
She's trying to convince us that her bad thoughts are like valid.
Yeah.
Ikechi is just putting it all on MM and saying, yes, it is her fault. She is aggressive. She is this. She is that. He is taking no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like you'll at least hear Michelle say, like, I know it's bad for me to think these things, this and that. We get none of that from Ikechi. Like MM coming into this said, I need to hear like an apology in order to move on. She did not get that.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
he
But
didn't say
still
sorry at
invited
all.
him to move back
Yes.
in. It's just like, girl, did you forget?
Yeah,
You
right.
forget
I don't
that's what
know.
you needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
All
thank y'all
right.
so much for sticking with us this episode. We will be back next week to talk about episode 12. Should be an interesting one. Make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed, as well as subscribe to the RHAP YouTube channel. Make sure you go join the Facebook group. You can find us at A Perfect Match Podcast, where the Facebook password is
Trauma and vulnerability.
yes.
I also take arts and science.
Yeah.
All right, Mari, where can people keep up with you? Where can they find you?
You can find me only on Blue Sky. I'm not at the other place. At Mari Talks Too Much. That's two, like the number 2. You can also catch me over on the Recap Kickback, where me and Chappelle talk about whatever we feel like it. This past week we talked about the 6888, the Tyler
I
Perry.
thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Love the movie. Oh my gosh. So if you want to hear our takes on that, you can go to recapkickback.com to
Recap Kit
subscribe.
Kat.
Yeah. I'm hungry. Or you can go to youtube.com/@recapkickback. Me and Sarah were joined by the amazing mascot and Chappelle, again, like we said, to talk about Girls Gone Wild, the untold story.
Ooh.
Why'd you
yes.
call me
What's
for
that
that?
on?
We can't give you the fun ones, Jason.
I know. You're letting Matt Chappelle get more of a lead on me. So like I'm waiting for another call. All right.
Okay, I got you.
Where can you watch the actual show?
On Peacock. It's a 3-part
okay.
documentary on
Yeah,
Peacock.
where can you watch the Girls Gone Wild documentary for no reason?
It's very interesting. Y'all should watch it and let me know what you think. It was so
Okay.
good. The conversation all 4 of us had about it was so good. So definitely go and check out Crime Scene. You can go to crimescenepod.com. That's crime SEEN pod.com in order to subscribe, or you could put Crime Scene into any of the podcatchers of your choice, and we are there. It was so fun. It was such a good discussion. But other than that, just follow me on Blue Sky to see what I'm doing. I was on the Big Brother retrospective podcast last week. We're talking about Big Brother 2 and the Dr. Will of it all. That was very fun. So just go to the Rhap Podcast YouTube page to check that out.
Awesome.
That's it.
Jason, what about you?
Yeah, you can also follow me on Blue Sky at JR33D. I am there. I don't really social media a lot nowadays anyway, but you can follow me there if you want. As far as podcasting goes, I am on The Good Pod, where me and Marissa Garza talk about the show The Good Wife and all the related Good Wife properties, including Elsbeth this current season. You can also this week catch me. I'm back on Altar Call, also another Married at First Sight podcast. So you can check me out there this week as well. Other than that, this is where you can find me.
All right. You're saying 2.5 hours was not enough talking about?
You know, yeah, I'll be 4 hours deep into this episode.
Now you got to go back and make sure she said lead with feelings, not fact.
Yeah, I
No,
will be checking.
you got it right. You got it right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
It's so good having you here.
I'm telling you, it's just like I feel like David. I'm taking punches left and right.
Y'all can follow me on all social media at Aysha like Aysha. That's AYSHA like ASIA. Yes, also on Blue Sky. I'm not utilizing it like I should. I mean, I also was that way on Twitter where I just didn't tweet a bunch. So I would say the place to find me at for real is Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. But yeah, come back and join us next week when we talk about episode 12. Until then, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.